but it's 11 o'clock. So we want to thank everybody for watching today. All right, good job there today. Thanks, Adara. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Sharif, Andre, Ramin, and Fabian. There it is. It's midday time. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Go Ribs.
I ate some ribs yesterday. Yeah. Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. This handsome gentleman is your boy, Joey Options. I'm Sharif. Let's say hello to everybody. Yeah, it was my Easter. I am Orthodox, so it was a lot of food. Part of that lot of food was a lot of ribs, man. Shout out to my mom, Dukes, for doing it live. Let's say hello to everybody. Kahlua, Christmas. We got Benton. No Arsenal talk at all today, Benton. I've gotten way too many DMs from some of the viewers here just chirping the hell out of me. I had to ignore all of them. Yuhan, we got SC45, 008. Why not? Why not? Shout out to Evan, Durant, Gordon, Big 40 frickin' nephew and super double no yes Bastone. We got who else, man? All the cream. Okay, I don't know about that one, Joey. Vale Band, yeah, Neil, that's not my name. Outlaw Trader, baby. We got Mario, Delzo, and Green Saber. Shout out to 420 Bud Monster. Welcome right back at you, my man. Good to be back. We got J-Tom 50, 53, and Mr. Raj, Mr. RJ 42. Shout out to Ronaldo. Shout out to Ichiro. We got Taylor Batty. Okay. Blackhawk and Volky. All right, we got Jody saying, "Hey Joe." Yeah, what's up? We got Jared, and we got Cabra Fu. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, bro.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Our poor guy Yuri Prohaska. What happened, Ryan O'Dare? You in the chat? All my UFC fans. Josh Holkett versus Curtis Blades. What a dogfight! You never see that in a heavyweight bout. Great fights this weekend, a lot going on in the market here today. But if you ask me, Joe, what did you do this morning? What trades did you take? You were feeling Katina Man shoes on Friday. Well, guess what? I have zero this morning. I was working on a couple of things. I was working on some hotkeys and then also some other things as well, too. So nothing really going on for me just yet. Also had a game plan. I wanted to wait a little bit before I decided to take some. So it's the midday. Maybe we can get some continuation in some of these trends today. I got a small cap name on my list. I got some other ones, brackets, PLTR. Shout out to the brackets on Palantir. IBIT continuing to climb, was down substantially. Now up to now only down 1.5%. Yeah, that fight was disgusting. That was insane stuff. But aside from that, guys, you know we always have the SPY, the T-Triple-Qs. RMSG, Sharif was talking about this one this morning, and then off to the races, it goes up to a high of $1.36. So not too bad of a look. Palantir, IBIT is what I was talking about not too long ago. I want to pull some things up here. We're going to go through a couple key metrics that I believe were important, especially because we were talking about them this morning, and that's going to start off with Palantir. We were looking at some open interest on this name, expiring on the 17th, and we were talking about 135, 18,500. That has slightly grown. We're only a point and a bit away from that specific level. Let's see if we can continue to climb in this bullish momentum in Palantir. Moving forward, we're going to take a look at IBIT as well to see what we got going on in the options chain. We didn't have it up there this morning, but I think we can continue to climb. We're going to head over to Friday's expiration cycle. Oh, and $42 may be in the works. I think we were talking about it last week as well, so not too bad of a look there. You can see the supply really start to kick in around 41. Nothing at 40.5. Why we have the ability to surpass that level, absorb that $40. We've already chewed that up. We're north of that, so we're going to have to look for that next level, and that is going to be that 42 mark. If we can break through that, then we're going to head up to 43. So those whole dollars coming into play today, and I think by the end of the week, we might, especially if we continue this bullish momentum, we might see some higher levels, not only in Bitcoin, but in Palantir, which the name was down 33% off of its highs, brother.
All right, man. You mentioned, RMSG. We're involved in this one at 16. Just wet the beak here for a liquidity tester at 21. 1R for me is 24. I mean $1.24 at on RMSG. We're in at 16. The high of the day is 34. My stop out is below the 1050 bar low, the low of which is 108. 109, pardon me. Here we got a new 5-minute candle. Let's see if we can take out the seller at 21. There's been a big seller here that we haven't been able to shake, I would say, for the last minute and a bit. At $1.21, big sell order coming in, dropping us down to 20. So we are still putting in lower highs on RMSG. So I'll get to all the tags in a second, guys, but I got to get this trade resolved before I get involved with the chat. And this is kind of what I'm talking about here on RMSG. So there we go. We failed 21. Now we're continuing to put in this downtrend. But that doesn't end the matter for me. The matter for me ends if this bar loses its low. I'm talking about the 1050 bar on the 5, again, the low of which is 109. So we've got higher lows on all 4 of these candles, but with the same kind of, honesty, let's say we've also got lower highs. So now we know where the local seller is. He's shown his hand here. Now we know he's waiting at 21. So if we can get above 21, I'd like to see what kind of liquidity we're looking at into the quarter dollar. 1 hour for me is 24, so that's happy accident. I wasn't trying to gauge it below the quarter dollar, but that's my look there. Now, others, RECT also making a nice move up, a decent move, I'd say, $2.38. It's up about 98 1/3%. It's off the low of 290, but most notably, holding above that pre-market high. In fact, it looks like that 2 1/4 pre-market high is a good area of support now that the bell is rung. 220, though, is where the volume weighted average price is. And I'd submit to you that the real level of resistance is at the 2/3 of a dollar, because the areas where it's broken above the 2/3, as you can see here on the chart, have been Wicks and nothing but Wicks, baby. So we're going to keep an eye here on RECT. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just get right to it. CMCT also looking fantastic. There's clearly a buyer here at 80 pennies. Once, twice, he is the one. Obi frickin' thrice into 80 pennies, keeps getting bought up there. That's the good news. The bad news is we're still suffering from lower highs. So the trend is still, a little bit undecided, but bouncing off 80 into 86 here. CMCT worth a look, 95 penny high. Looks like the buyers are stepping in, as I said, around 80. So if you're placing your stop, 80 should be factoring into your stop placement here. SAFX up about 46%. Not a whole lot of volume. And the volume here, quite frankly, is a little sporadic. Entertain me for a sec. So look at this. We got that 1055 volume bar. That had a little bit less than 1 million shares. Then we go to the next volume bar, the 11 a.m. Well, that drops off all the way to 424. And the one we're in now barely clearing 300,000. So that's something to look at as well. SAFX declining volume profile. MNTS, not as big percentage-wise of a winner on the day as some others, but a good-looking pattern. Looks like it's caught in that consolidation range of the bull flag, at least so far. Having trouble clearing 450 on the current candle with that volume-weighted average price hanging around 4 1/3. So another thing to look at there is MNTS. ALMU, what is this one up on the day? I don't know why it's not updating. 46 3/4%, a bit more expensive here. You're going to be about 15 3/4, pardon me, $16. But quite frankly, I like this stair-step up pattern a little bit more on ALMU than, for example, MNTS. Reason is, look at this area at 15. We know for certain that that was an area of resistance in the pre. Fine, okay, $15, hold dollar level, blah, blah, blah. Then comes the open, the 930, 945 to 10. Look at all the topping tails and bottoming tail candles around 15. So you know an epic struggle was going on here between buyers and sellers at around 15. Well, we know how that resolved. It's a 1656 high. So those people, let's just go with that, selling at 15 lost up for the moment. But what I do like about this is it holds prior area resistance as support. Case in point 15, and then this 15 1/4 area. So that is something to be looking out here. ALMU, and then one more, Joey, just before we send it back to you, a holdover from Friday. FUSE, Fuse. This one was moving Friday. It's moving again today. It's not up nearly as much as it was Friday, nor is there as much volume, and nor does the chart pattern look as good. Nonetheless, it's at 226 high a day. We'll see how this one does.
All right, good stuff there, guys. Yeah, so we have our eyes on the 3 names that we were talking about. We'll be going over them quite often. I have my eyes on the small cap scanner as well to see what we got going on. But I think at this point, we just need to be patient enough to wait for a pullback. And where's that zone that we're going to be looking for here, possibly on IBIT? 4060. Same thing with the overall market. We always have the Qs and the SPY in the corner of our eye. But as for Palantir, continuing its strength from Friday. I mean, it sold off a little bit, but then in the post-market and leading into the pre-market this morning, you can see that it had some pretty bullish activity. The thing is, considering on Friday, we had that strong up move, and then it took a while for it to kind of start going again. You have that nice steady channel to the downside, and then eventually didn't do much leading into the close. But as soon as the market came to an end, essentially the regular trading hours, then off to the races you go. You come back and retest the zone now north of that. And if we head over to the daily to see where we're actually sitting at, it's like, okay, that's a pretty bullish signal right there, especially through some key support levels. You can see that there was a structure being established, and then now we're putting in a pretty strong bullish day. Back-to-back aggressive red days to the point where you drop substantially from that level. So, I mean, I shouldn't say we're still down 35% off of that high. It had a 40% haircut at one point, and it's the same thing as the Robinhoods and the SoFi. It's a nice bounce back. Same thing with Tesla. I think Les Poyos and I were talking about this. Not as strong considering this channel is still fully intact, but you've seen some buying pressure starting to step in on the higher time frames, mostly referring to the daily here. Now maybe we can get somewhat of a rebound leading into earnings season. I think there's going to be a lot. We were talking about Goldman Sachs this morning. I mean, this isn't horrible. You're down 10% off the highs. You'll take that all day, every day, in my opinion. JPM a little bit worse for wear, but starting to recover. And this is essentially what we want to see in the banks. Looking forward to the rest of them reporting. And then that's going to give a little bit more orderly price action into the market, I believe, considering what we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks, in regards to essentially everything going on in the Middle East. Now, earnings reports, CapEx increase, good numbers, good, strong guidance, then I think that we can continue to climb higher. And I talked about the NASDAQ being down like 8% or something along those lines, a little bit less. The SPY was only down a couple of percentage points. That is nothing, especially if the mega cap names continue do report some solid numbers. Off to the races we go. And I said all-time highs by the middle of the summer. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if we do see them by the end of the earnings season. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll head back over to our scanner to see what we got going on. Good thing that did that there, Sharif. We'll fix it here momentarily. Now, yeah, exactly. Now, Nokia on the top of the list. I've seen that thing on the downgrade side of things every day for the past couple of weeks. A strong session here today, up to $10.44. NVDA strong as well, up to almost 190 smackers there. And Intel been on an absolute monster tear for the past 4 or 5 days, or longer than that. What am I even talking about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2 whole trading weeks of just straight, yeah, exactly, of just straight to the upside. One measly breath right there at the break of some key resistance zone, and then off to the races it goes. If the government is buying the name, you buy the stock essentially. 10% stake.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that one?
I like it, man. I've got all sorts of anger. The fact that I'm not involved.
Yeah.
If you want the truth,
it's corruption.
Yeah.
Unless you're involved, then it's just like.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, it's like an African meme, right?
Yeah.
You know about that one? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like the Ugandan. Like,
exactly. He's like, you know what I'm gonna say, right?
There
goes DLXY into the high. 84 pennies, we've got 76. We've wet most of the beak at 82. We're looking for continuation. Shout out to KC520-6. She called that out in the chat. I know others were calling it out as well. I'm sorry, guys. I'm actually normal, but you know.
It's okay to not be normal.
Fabian's laughing. I don't really care, bro. I've got no filter, and I don't really care what anybody thinks about me. You probably could already tell by that. Here we go, waiting for 82, Fabian. Looking for the continuation into 84. We're waiting at 83 and change. There's 83, 82. No continuation, though, through the high. So we're going to take off very little here. Oh, that's my fault there for changing that. Oops, there we go. Good job, Sharif. Looking at 83, looking for the move into 83.5, not immediately forthcoming for that 83.5 move, but whatever. We're going to pack the patience. This is too close to $1 for me not to have the bias that in some form or another, we're going to have a glance at $1, whether we do it now or we do it later. Usually when you get up into these levels, there's a quick glance the dollar's way. Let's just kind of hold on and see what we get with this one. Let me tell you though, so initial stop for me was below 70 pennies. Now the stop goes below 75. So we're moving up the stop on this one for the last remaining amount. My average is 76, so that would put me a little bit negative on this one. So let's just give this one a little bit of room. There we go. So we're going to look there. JC Money, you are not normal, and neither are we. Yeah, I know, brother. It's all good. T Money, did you see that drinking the Arsenal bottle? That was funny. Sorry. No, I didn't. I tried to block myself from anything Arsenal after that pathetic performance against Bournemouth at home. And I woke up at 7:30 a.m. and drove up to Markham. So I woke up substantially earlier to watch it with my old man, which is north of the city. And obviously, I lament having done that because it was just hot trash. So that's the problem. Continuing to watch here, Joe. Dude, it's a different team. It's like one team during the beginning and the middle of the year. Then they decide, look, we've won too much. Yeah. We don't want to win anymore. We don't want to play well anymore. We've done enough of that. We've given the fans what they want. We're not going to give them the Prem. We're not giving them the Carling Cup or Carabao Cup. We're not giving them the FA Cup. Maybe we'll, end up in the Champions League semifinal. Whatever. Displeased. I could not be anymore. But there goes DLXY into the high, Joey, and we take out the majority of the position into 83.5. There's my 1R. We're letting this one go. I hate you, Adam. I despise Adam James Broad. No, I don't. Of course, I love him. But he is constantly chirping me about Arsenal. Just does not relent. Instagram, here. I have to put up with it all, but I love the guy. Gorev, Sharif, sounds like Arsenal's doing what we do best. Give it up. Brother, you guys have a Champions League win, final win. You got a title. You got the Premier League win the last 5 years. You guys are fine. It's us that has a problem. So we're not even kind of anywhere in the same ballpark, JC. Gorev, I mean, you guys are a lot better. So, Joey.
Yes, sir.
Save me, brother. What
I'll try, man. There ain't much saving to be had over here, Sharif. The Leafs, after the 9th straight year, haven't made the playoffs. They're finishing like bottom 5th in the league. Speaking about I call it the lost decade, essentially. It's tough, man. Out of the 9 years that core four were together, they've only made it to the second round of the playoffs twice, and then they've got bounced out of every first round after that. They've only won the division twice, one of them being the North Division, the made-up division during COVID. So yeah, I mean, it's an embarrassment. It's a laugh, and I was right from day one about those guys. When you have that stunt, yeah, I was, dude. I literally, you know how much heat I caught in my group chat because I'm like, you know what? No, something's off about these guys. All about the money, essentially. And sure enough, they weren't able to build a good enough team. Yeah, money. RMSG starting to come in towards the volume-weighted average price. Kind of looking like a head and shoulders pattern starting to be formed on the 5-minute. You can see shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. If we bounce off a view up, maybe we'll look for an engagement. Same thing here, waiting for that pullback in IBIT. We had JPM up here, but we're going to get that to the side and just focus on these 3 names. See if we can get something rocking and rolling in Palantir, some more signs of strength, and that's essentially what we're looking for on today's session. Nice, strong, steady uptrend so far. If that breaks, maybe you get a pullback towards view up, a retest to the back end, and that's where we're going to be looking for a potential entry on this one. So, who do the Raptors play in the first round? The Cavaliers, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's 4 to place 5, right? I was just looking at that. I think so. And we whooped them 3 times this year. We're 3-0 against them.
Yeah, I don't like winning. You know what? I think winning.
Like that, eh?
No, I don't like the winning in the regular season.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. To playing them in because it's hard to beat the same team 4 times.
That's exactly the point,
right?
Because they kind of figured it out.
A lot going on. Adara.
More here in the Strait of Hormuz. I'm seeing a report from the Wall Street Journal citing some senior U.S. officials that the U.S. blockade in Iran has officially been activated. So, it's been roughly an hour since this was supposed to start at 10 a.m. Eastern. Apparently, this is going to include an aircraft carrier, destroyers, and an amphibious assault ship. Over 15 warships have been deployed into the Middle East. So, again, looks like the blockade has officially begun, as reported by the WSJ. Back to you.
Getting everything
down.
Just
escort them. I mean, aside from that, what do I know, man? Let the politics politic, I guess, at the end of the day. Anyways, aside from that, guys, let's wait for this pullback 40.70. This is going to be the key support level that we're looking for. You can see that it was prior resistance. If it breaches that zone, then the volume-weighted average price is going to be our neck of the woods and where we're going to be looking for a good entry. Now we're starting to get that bounce off of RMSG. Sharif, you're no longer in that bad boy.
No,
105.
Got me out.
Yeah,
I got out earlier than my stop, Joe,
That's
because
all right,
I saw
that's
the
all right.
failure.
Yeah,
got
yeah.
out 13. My stop was 8.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough. There's still a lot of buying pressure within these candles. Even though we're closing red, I think at some point this is going to be a key level one, the whole dollar, right? That could be a support level 97 and anything right around the volume weighted average price. Trend still holding up in Palantir. And then we have IBIT still rocking and rolling to the top side, running into that 4109 mark. Now, there's no options on RMSG, so we can't go over that. What we can do is go over the overall market and see what we got going on in the NASDAQ and what everybody else has for options activity. My boy Ryan O'Day in the chat, Gore of Los Polios Hermanos. We got Hangry Wife, Lemons Family, Adam James, Adam DeLuce. What's up, my boy? Everyone, we're going to go through a couple TikTok mentions as well, as our TikTok moderator Bravely says, hey, man, don't forget about us. Hey, man, we don't forget. People don't forget, Bravely. Probably, I mean, maybe you know where that's from, but anyways, aside from that, 615, look at this size, the Qs, 31,600 contracts right there, lots of volume being put in, so you're not going to have any liquidity issues, and a $2 spread, boohoo, that's pretty good, that's exactly what we want to look for. Now, moving forward, let's head over to the TikTok shoutouts because they deserve it as well. They're watching us, Sharif, so we have to give them a little bit of attention. Sure. Now, moving forward, let's see who we have. We have the Emperor. The Emperor wears no clothes. Okay. We have Bonnie, Amir, Gruel Gurmit, Just T. Okay, we like that one.
Saw that.
Lucky, Southern Nurse, Sally on Explorer, Brandy, Annie, what's going on? We have
Brandy.
Jason, Zoe, Grizzly, Jeff Jerzak, Randy's World. Oh, looks like we got a lot more people. B, Tech on the Wheels, Evie, Carlito's Way, Carlito, Caribbean Cool, Ika, A Girl's Girl, Chris Chan, Shu, Garfield, and a couple more. Ariel Ortiz, Michael Landon, Steven Jackson, and Moi Jama. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are all having fantastic days. Aside from that, me. What's up, Luis? Well, yeah, we give up to everyone. Romy Ozek, my boy. Who else do we got? Why is your name slipping my mind? Dragos from Chicago, one of my favorite cities. You know I love Dallas now. Adara, what's going on?
HPQ is going on here, Joe. Nice push to the upside for HP Incorporated, pushing higher after an agency called Semi-Accurate posted an article saying that NVIDIA is looking to make a huge purchase that will reshape the PC and server landscape. People are assuming that this purchase is HPQ. Now, it is worth noting with Semi-Accurate, as the name suggests, they have been semi-accurate. They were spreading a whole bunch of rumors about different companies trying to get involved with Intel, like back in 2024, December of 2024. Nothing ever came of any of those rumors. So just be aware here. Again, as the name suggests, semi-accurate, but HPQ to the upside. HPE also getting a little bit of a move on this. Another company that could be on watch here is Dell. So again, a couple different computing companies are seen as possible acquisition targets for NVIDIA based on this very vague headline from Semi-Accurate.
Well, don't forget Mike Peterreiter. Sharif's chuckling over there, so he's probably got some good trades. Nonetheless, I have nothing. Maybe an attempt on RMSG relatively soon, but we want to see a little bit more strength. And then this pullback to be complete in Bitcoin as we were down only 1.5%, now down closer to 2%. And this is going to be my key level. I'll say it again. I'll say it until we get there. It's either we're going to take the trade at that level or we're not going to be taking it at all over around the 40, 60 or anything south of that. I got my hotkeys to exactly how I want them now. So let's go. Let's rock and roll. And let's have a great, great April.
I like it, man. I like the energy, bro.
From Vaughn.
From Vaughn.
Hey, from Vaughn.
Good.
Well, I mean, from Vaughn. He's saying in the chat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, what's up, Vaughn?
What's going on, brother? We have an entire city north of Toronto called Vaughan.
Well, I mean, he's saying, hey, from
Vaughan. So he's a brother.
Man.
Yeah, he's a local brother.
How's the traffic over there, my boy?
Have you been there, bro? Have you been there lately?
I can't stand.
No Italians driving around there. None whatsoever in Woodbridge.
Highway 7
they drive very calmly.
Bro.
Right? And, you know, there's no issues up there whatsoever. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
Dude, can I tell you about Liberty Village? It is like it is disastrous. Like, I don't know. Who's in charge of this stuff? Where are the tax dollars going? Build some new roads. You know we haven't essentially built a new road.
In the Liberty Village?
No, in Toronto.
Oh.
In like, it's like 30, 40 years or something.
Joey,
like that.
I don't want to hear you criticizing Olivia Chow anymore.
Okay.
She's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, she's as good as the mayoral candidates get. All right, let's just get to work here, guys. There goes RECT. We've wet the beak all the way up into 66s. Not that I wanted to take it there. You guys know my affinity for 69er, but, you know, it's zigging, it's zagging. It was a good breakout. There is resistance here, guys, every single time we come up into the 60s or 70s. We don't close above that level. So you have to be careful. So I've taken out the majority of the position already on that 1R into 66, excuse me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop out below the $0.50, okay? Because I have seen what this one has been doing on the day, which is consolidate. A little above 60, a little bit below 60. Look, if it wants to go and close above 60 this time, I'm all game. But if it's going to lose the level, I'm going to be out with it. So stop goes into 48. We scalped nicely for the majority of the position into this candle high here, which is 69ers. So keeping a close eye on that one. Stopped out as well on DLXY for the last remaining amount. Still very positive on this one. This one was a good trade. The reason I stopped out, it lost the doji candle low. If it wants to reset up and show me a couple of prints above VWAP, I just got stopped out of RECT for the last remaining amount, by the way. If DLXY wants to kind of just hold above this volume weighted average price, let's say above 77, 75 pennies, start showing me higher lows, higher highs, we'll get back involved with that one. DLXY certainly in focus. And then SAFX. I mean, I kind of crapped on this one a little bit, saying maybe the volume wasn't all there, but it had support a bunch of times at the 20 moving average on the 5, exponential that is, the latest of which was the 1040, 1045 double bottom. And here it is again, just right around 115, 114 with a 20 EMA showing 113. So something to be alert to there. But RECT though, yeah, I did get stopped out of that. Having looked at it a little bit more, if it does come back down, I want to say into the 40s, maybe even high 30s, that gets me back into the trade because then I'll put my out below area low. The area low is either the 11 o'clock or the 11:05 candle, the low of which there is about 230. So you can put your stop at like 229, 228, something to that effect. So those are the ones I'm looking at. And let's not forget about CMCT. You know, it did glance into 95. That may be its version of working into the dollar. Maybe not. Maybe it actually hits the dollar. Sometimes they work their way up. Sometimes they just don't make it up there. As I look at this, it's fighting. It's trying to hold on to some levels here. It's below the 10. It's below VWAP, but it's got a bunch of bottoming tail candles above 80. So to me, the buying seems to be coming in over and over again at 80, but there's just not enough buying to clear some area highs. We'll keep a close eye on this one. I'm talking about, of course, CMCT, middle of your screen. And that's basically it. What are you guys looking at in the chat? Cool Brioche, very choppy RECT. Do you see do you set up profit takers or only stop losses? No, I do both, my friend, on RECT. It is pretty choppy. But like I just finished explaining right now, to me, this is probably a buy in the mid to low 30s, just so that I can put my stop below area low. If you want to even be more aggressive, you can give it to the volume weighted average price, which takes you down to about 2 1/5. If you're going to do that, my suggestion is you size down so that your risk parameters remain intact. But I kind of see what you're getting at there. Any other small cap gappers that I don't have on my screen, just text me or tag me. Let me know what's good, but otherwise, to be honest with you, I think I've gone through the majority of them. There's some others, a BTM, but that's doing like kind of light volume, 1.25 million shares for a cheap name. XNDU says 2 New York cents. We'll look at that one as soon as we get back from Madeira.
Yeah, I do want to mention here some of these computing names, again, all of which are at or near intraday highs. It's going to be SMCI, it's going to be HPE, it's going to be HPQ, and it's going to be DELL. Seeing some people in the chat ask about these, so I thought I'd bring them up again. Basically, a very vague headline from Semi-Accurate suggests that NVIDIA is in talks, and actually has been in talks for over a year, to buy a major company in the PC space in a transaction that, again, is very speculative, but is viewed as potentially being able to change the game here forever in servers and PC. Again, anything in this computing space is viewed as a potential buyout target, though no buyout target was named within the article. And again, Semi-Accurate, as the name suggests, has a history of being semi-accurate. We don't have a ton of details.
Let me just go over this XNDU for 2 New York cents. Guys, I'm thinking about going back into DXLY. It's showing me some good bottoming tail candles into 75. So now I'm of the opinion that there's a pretty aggressive buyer at 7.5. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. But this is a good look to New York cents. XNDU, a little struggle for some volume here. Volume is still below 1 million shares on the day, 813,000, with the 5-year average being 869. So we're about to close, you know, 1 RVol if you're looking at the 5-year. Yeah, I don't know. What's the spread on this XND? Let me see if I can find it on my scanner. What is it, up 27%? So XNDU, show yourself. It's not immediately showing itself over here. Let me see if I can find the spread over here without loading up a trading screen. Up 65 on the ask, 43 on the bid. So it is a little wide, but it's not bad. I'd be factoring in the spread to New York if I get into this one. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of support between this breakout area at around 1070, 1075, and the first other area of support at 11 1/3, which is the 10 EMA. That's the 5-minute chart. Let's take a quick look at the 15. If you lose prior bar low on the 15, it could be a trend reversal. Prior bar low is 1137. We're showing 1142. So be on the lookout for that. That's the 15-minute chart look on XNDU. So good call out by you, brother. But I think I'm going to focus here. I'm going to put that one on the side chart. It's probably going to replace, who's it going to replace? FUSE, because it looks a little bit better, quite frankly, than FUSE. So XNDU, shout out to New York Cents for pointing that one out. But I'm gonna try to see if DLXY is the appropriate one to get into at the moment here, Joey, because I got to tell you, a lot of these bottoming tail candles into 75 pennies. Is this that one you're looking at, DXLU? I know you're about that life now.
No, I was actually looking at RCT.
I like that one. RECT.
No, RCT.
Oh, just RCT.
Yeah.
You're a dangerous person.
Yeah, I'm very.
I like that.
I like to live on the edge a little bit. You know what I mean? Come on, baby. Come on.
My guy.
All right. I'm looking at HPQ as well. I kind of want to stick to a couple names. We're getting we're getting Bitcoin to come into the level that we want. But I also kind of want to fade this HPQ pop. I like fading these pops. Neil had a great idea the other day that kind of just stuck in my head. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Some of these names that may not deserve a little bit of continuation, if you're patient enough, maybe you can get somewhat of a curl around. So we'll sway our eyes to this name here, Palantir, starting to really choppy price action. I like what Shaw was saying about it here earlier today, and then look what Tesla's been doing. I'm not even paying attention to this name anytime soon, to be honest with you. That thing's on, we'll put that on Uncle Sharif's ish list, as he typically likes to call it. I'll add one gladly.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, well, hey man, if
more than welcome.
if you got a lot of space there, we can add a lot of things as of late there, my boy. Aside from that, this is going to be the fade, and I also like where we're coming in on Bitcoin for continuation. But I'm hearing USO to the top side of the overall market slowly starting to come back in. Lots of buying pressure around these lows in USO. I just think it's so dangerous playing this, man. It's like that UFC heavyweight fight. Like you're just literally playing with fire, because anything can happen at any given moment. But nice indecision prints off the lows. Gorev, did you see these ones? Boom, boom, boom. Look at that volume print that holds. It comes back to 130, and then off to the races up to 132, running into some pre-market resistance zones. But guys, we're going to send it off to Adara with some cryptocurrency talk.
And crypto once again, as our friend Michael Noss said this morning, just kind of hanging around here, waiting to react to a catalyst. Again, it's quite obvious here the next level of resistance that actually formerly formed a support here at the end of January as well is going to be that 76,000 level. So we'll have to see what happens at 76K. Right now, we're not really anywhere near that, just below 72,000 for Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the monthly chart thus far to see how this is forming. Bitcoin on the monthly actually poised for its second straight green month. Again, though, to break last month's high, so that'd be the high of March, we still have to get above that 76K level. So it looks like no matter what time frame you look at, 76K is going to be the level to be aware of. Ethereum, as it has been as of late, kind of mirroring Bitcoin on the monthly chart and on the daily as well. For Ethereum, the level that we have to get past is not 76K. It's going to be that area just shy of 2,400. We know a lot of these crypto names have been really strong, particularly stablecoin play, CRCL. I looked into this. Apparently, there were some stablecoin approvals here for issuances out in Hong Kong. Nothing really massive or nothing that would really explain the move in CRCL, but just be aware some of these crypto plays doing quite nicely on this Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Michael Noss was talking about this morning. It's just like sitting in Bitcoin for some time. It feels like dead money. It's just going through a massive accumulation phase, and it hasn't been doing much. And it's, I think, since the start of IBIT and it being optionable, we really started to notice that, right? The lengthy consolidations. You get these up moves and then goes into a multi-month consolidation. So, I mean, I'm happy that I drastically reduced the size because essentially what is going on there, it is a lot of dead money. It is up there in my largest percentage holdings, that is, but I've drastically reduced it. I've accumulated more NVDA around the lows. I like that name, and a couple other names as well, too. So just diversifying more instead of all eggs essentially in one basket, which I'm okay with. I mean, if you have a lot of conviction, then by all means, like I have a good friend who's just up an insane amount of cash, just throwing his eggs in one basket, but it doesn't always work.
So does my
yeah.
buddy did that as well. I always talk about my buddy
Tesla
Alfred.
buddy.
Exactly. He put all his dad's gold money into Tesla, and bro, he made $250,000 a year just like that.
Yeah, bang.
Just like that. He's taking home $250,000. So.
That's really nice. I think the next play for that potentially for me is going to be some of these AI plays, right? Like the Anthropic IPO, you have the OpenAI, SpaceX as well too. They're coming in at half decent. I mean, the valuation's already through the roof, but the pricing of the stock, who knows what can happen with them. I think they're going to be the next trillion-dollar names. We'll add a couple more to that, considering they already are in the private market. So I like what we have there. Bitcoin coming in. We got a couple small cap names on our radar. What's our RCT doing? It was looking pretty good for me. I just needed to wait for a pullback. 123 million shares now started to cool off. But what we can see is that this downtrend has been broken. Okay, so that's a good sign for me. A retest. If it holds this 99-cent mark, then maybe we can get somewhat of a slow grind higher in RCT.
Knowles, brother, I don't trade Circle. I'll have a look at it for you, just because you're very polite and you asked, and it's kind of my job. But I got to tell you, full disclosure, they're not my cup of tea. You know, I swing trade these names, but I don't intraday trade them anymore. But I intraday these ones. Boom. Boom and boom and boom. There goes DLXY into the freaking high. We got right back in at 78. Why'd I get back in, Joey? Well, how many times does it need to show me bottoming tail candles into $0.75 for me to get the freaking hint? So we got the hint. We got in at 78. I would have liked 75. I would like 76, 77, ideally. But we got in at 78, and there it goes into the high. We took 1R. We're looking for 2R we just took 2R at 84. 3R for me is at 87. We're looking for continuation. It's an 86.69 high. So we basically got to 3R, but I didn't wet the beak there, which is fine. Still holding a good amount of shares. We're out of the majority of the position, full disclosure, but we're still holding a good amount of shares, will allow me to scalp as this one, if this one moves up. Next spot we go, baby. Next spot we go 87s. We post at 87s. We're gonna see what we can get. We won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. So that is what I'm looking at there. Now, let's get to more work, because there's more work to do here. IMA is making a move. I saw KC 520-6. Call this out in the chat. Cool Brioche called it out. A bunch of you all called it out. And I do appreciate you guys doing that. And what a rounded bottom. Big Spile would be very, very impressed with this rounded bottom over here to the tune of 32.5%. Still, though, it's got resistance at 7, and I won't be convinced otherwise. There is a plethora of topping tail candles, all of which, you know, get into 7 and then do reject it. Looks like the closing prints all around 6 4/5. So we'll see. Current real high of day, like the official high of day, is 664, despite the fact that we've been above that in the pre. Good news is, though, we're back above that volume-weighted average price, which is, which is at that 620 area. We almost got into 3R here, so I had to move this. We just got into another high of day. We did get into 87 pennies on DLXY, but it didn't cross, hence why I didn't get the fill. But that was my 3R. And in fact, if we get that, we're going to even let it go further because I want to see if this one's got the juice to get into that dollar area. DLXY looks fantastic here. And the buying is really picking up. And what's the volume on this thing? We've got about 37 million shares traded. And I got to tell you, the volume came in late. Looks like it came in at 11 o'clock or something. So I feel like, you know, this one is what I call a trade de novo, meaning that it's kind of like a newer trade. It wasn't one of those ones that was moving in the pre-market at 4 a.m. or 7 a.m. or even at 9:30. It came, it's new, and it's getting a lot of attention now. And that's good because sometimes, you know, the shorts, the mean reversion traders, they look for in this top sell and they get in aggressively when it's a newer trade. They're not quite ready to get in yet. So a bit more of an unencumbered upside sometimes with these ones. So that's what I'm kind of looking at right now. Shout out to my man, Other Zinc. Keep me apprised, guys, if you have any other small cap gappers other than the ones that I've mentioned. But we got my friend there, Gerald Causill, 5140 with $2 super chat. We're going to thank him for that. Any thoughts on the Pershing Square IPO? Look, we heard about it. We've seen what, what's his name's been doing. How's his name? Ackman, thank you, Adara. Bill Ackman. So we saw his calls on Meta. We saw his calls on Amazon. You know, he's looking at taking out some depressed names. Guys, I have to digress. There goes RMSG into the area high. This is a halt parameter, guys. 131. If we spend any more time at this level, we're going to halt. 131 halt parameter, RMSG up 179% and halt. Yeah, that was pretty close.
Yeah, that was
pretty close right there, Joey.
$1.33 on the top right now. $1.32 printing.
$1.32.
Yeah, we're posted up at 4060s here on IBIT. We have Palantir starting to come back in. Amazon is continuing to climb. I've seen someone in the chat ask us, like, hey, man, what's going on with this one? We can figure that out for you any moment. Let's click this little fire flame. Amazon, Momed enters into new multi-year agreement with Amazon Web Services. That may not be the case, but or the reason why it's climbing. I think the market is just pretty strong, and some of the big names are strong today, too. A pullback. Yeah, sure, feet strong, man.
Neil knows what I'm talking about. Shout out to Tyrone Biggums.
Take my strong hand.
All
right, so yeah, I mean,
Joe Rogan, you crazy.
HPQ. This is what I was talking about. Neil's he's over there chuckling, but man,
he's so good.
I was like, okay, yeah, let's look for the fade here on HPQ, and then sure enough, when I come back to it, it's already taken a little bit of a move lower, and that would have been the ideal target. Like you catch over 50 cents right there, and that's a nice move. Netflix up to 103.5, starting to form somewhat of a compression pattern here. You can see that base at 102.68. Now we're heading through some resistance zones. So let's go Netflix, man. I like this name, and I think I'm going to continue to do so as long as it performs. Massive recovery after they dropped out of that bidding war with Paramount Skydance. They paid way too much for it, and their content sucks. Sorry, Paramount Skydance. But anyways, aside from that, Adara.
Some comments coming through just now here from Iran's defense ministry spokesperson saying that any military intervention by foreign powers in the security of the Strait of Hormuz, which is, again, basically what the U.S. is trying to do, would escalate the crisis and instability in global energy security. So saying that energy security is at risk if we do get any kind of intervention here with the Strait of Hormuz. Again, we know the U.S., as of an hour and a half ago now, did begin that blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, this is not where you necessarily want the conflict, the direction to be headed in. The market isn't as reactive as what we were seeing a couple of weeks ago. Just be prepared, essentially. If things get worse and you have people on the ground start firing lead at each other, this market's going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Low volume, Taylor. That EONR that you just sent me, I mean, it's got 4.29 million shares traded on the day, so I get that, like the quantity, but relative to the price and the time, it's 81 pennies, and it looks pretty lightly traded on the 1 minute chart. So I'd say no to that. But guys, I'm still holding DLXY. Now, I did what the beak at 85 here. I took a little bit off the table before my 3R into 87. Reason being, I feel like there's a bit of a top here. I'm not going to get out. It has shown me no reason to get out ever since the hammer candle that breached prior bar low at 1120. That was the only kind of trend break that I can discern on the 5 minute chart as of late. For now, it's telling me to stay in the trade. In fact, you want to know the truth? it's kind of giving me vibes that I should be adding into the volume weighted average price, which is loosely at 80 pennies. Now, I think I might actually add, I'm gonna add a small amount just so that I can get the repetitions in for adding into these areas, because this is what I need to do to improve, right? You gotta be able to spot areas of support when you've exhausted your shares and not let it off the ropes. That's kind of my humble submission. I think that that's where I'd be looking to add if I see what I want. So 80 pennies, likely an adding spot for me, but for a lighter amount of shares. That's all predicated, of course, upon it dropping down to 80 pennies. It's been fighting here to try to clear 85 and try to make its way back into 87. All right, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. So we'll pack the patience there. While we're packing the patience on that, let me tell you about this one. RMSG, Joey. This one halted 11:40:53. So the earliest this one will be open is 11:45:53. If you were a newer trader, at least newer to the world of small cap gappers and halters, these bad boys halt for volatility in waves of 5 minutes. So the shortest amount of time they will be halted for volatility will be 5, and then they come in waves of 5, so 5, 10, 15, etc. So be on the lookout for that. Earliest it'll be open in about, let's say, 30 seconds, less, about 20 seconds. Now, I just saw, what's it called? DLXY take out some levels through 85. Sadly, no continuation through 87. Let's go back to RMSG. We're looking at a tap here of basically the same price that we closed out at, which is $1.31, pardon me. We have a high a day of $1.34. So do we clear 134? My Spidey says we're already above it, Joey.
Yeah.
And there it goes into 142. This one's on the way to 1.5. And let me tell you something. If it clears that 150 decisively, we're going to 2. That's my bias. I don't have a C8 ball.
Don't work. It doesn't work, man.
It doesn't work? Oh, he says to look at Neil? Or it just doesn't work in general?
Yeah, man. It doesn't work, brother.
All right.
He's light heavyweight, Igro, not middleweight. Did you say middleweight? Carlos Alberg.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yuri's like 1-3 now in title fights, so I don't know if he gets another shot anytime soon. Who's going to be that next guy? I think there's a couple people coming up the rankings that are probably going to get that shot. They'll probably do an interim unless he gives it up, but he blew his AC. Yeah, dude, in the main event,
yeah,
the guy blows his ACL out in the first 30 seconds of the fight, and then still knocks the next guy out. Yeah, bro, with a check.
Was he limping?
Dude, every time he went to throw power on that, his knee would buckle. Anyways, he's in the back of the, he's in the back, he's cornered, he's against the cage, throws a check hook, sleeps him essentially.
Yeah, but how do you step into the check hook though? That's
brother, I don't know, man. He just fought through. He's a warrior, man. As soon as I heard his walkout music, I'm like, yeah, this guy's winning, for sure. There goes RMSG. I know Sharif's talking about up to $1.41. We're posted up at 40.60s at Bitcoin. Doesn't look like we're gonna get that as we're now up to 40.77. Things can start to come in a little bit, but Palantir's trend is still holding up really well. We haven't got to break through that level. If it does curl over, if it doesn't have the ability to breach that 134 mark, maybe they will start to see things the tide slowly start to turn, but that doesn't seem to be the narrative right now. It's buy the dips, fall into the resistance zones that were support levels that were prior resistance, and that's going to be that 40.63, all right? So now you can see Bitcoin starting to climb, but the volume is absolutely falling off a cliff. I mean, it is that lunchtime hour, but I want to keep an eye on some of these small cap names. RMSG putting in that work today up to $1.42, and then there's a couple other ones that were starting to get attractive. RECT is consolidating at that 235 mark, and then RCT still on the backside of this trend coming to retest it, so it might just be weak overall. So other than that, guys, we've got 6 names. We're going to try to keep things hyper-focused today on a couple, and if it's only a couple of trades on my behalf, then so be it. HPQ was him. That was that trade that we're looking for, and Neil did a great example of it on Friday. Just the fact is hey, we got this pop, and then these pops aren't sustained. You just get that fade within them. So I'm going to be looking for a couple more opportunities like this, and let's see if we can take advantage of them.
All right, man. We got stopped out of DLXY. I did add into the position, and I got stopped out immediately. So we added at 80. I said I was going to do what I was going to say. I did what I was going to say, excuse me, and we didn't get the best part of that, but we're still very, very positive on the name. Going to focus on that one. In RMSG at 44s, there it goes into the high of the day, 48. It didn't give me the print there. I'm looking for a move into 50, looking for trying to pack the patience here on this name. There's 47 again. Let's see if we can get a 48 print there quicker. There's 48. It needs to cross though. Maybe I should put the mid prints on this one. So let's see what we can get here. I have a bias for a $0.50 or thereabouts touch. Anything below 140 ends the trade for me. Here, well, I did have my stop at 135, by the way. So let's watch, see what this one does. It's turning into a bit of a topping tail candle. Let's see if this one has any juice to continue. I like the 135 area just because it's the former area of resistance, but I'm also quite interested in picking it up. If I do get stopped out in the last remaining amount, I'm also quite interested in picking it up. I want to say between the $0.25 to the $0.33 of a dollar because there's a bit of a consolidation zone there. So let's see what we get. It's turning into a topping tail candle now. Let's see if the buyers step in at around 39.40 pennies, bring this one back up. Couple of beak wetters, but now we're still holding a little bit of the position. So decisions to be made. I think RECT is also curling back up for a possible move here. So RECT, we're going to look at for a sec. And my stop on RECT will have to be area low into, let's say, 33. So we'll have to go 232. Let's see what we can get here on RECT. Okay, not bad. It's not exactly rocketing up, though. Decisions. Okay. I'm gonna give this one the old college try because I think that it is worth seeing if we can get through that $0.50. I think it can really pump up there, possibly into 60 or 70 pennies. We're gonna go long RECT, and as I mentioned, my stop is below the area low at 33. So we're gonna go 232. We'll stop out there, Joey. Are we going to Adara? Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Let's go up to Adara.
Keep an eye here on both Uber and Lucid LCID. We've got a post here from Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi on X celebrating, quote, an exciting milestone with Neuro and Lucid Motors. Uber employees are now taking test rides on the Uber app. So it looks like some of these robo-taxi rides can now be ordered at least by employees on a test basis on the Uber app. Nice milestone, LCID and UBER, both benefiting. Again, this post coming from the CEO of Uber himself. Back to you.
All right, Joseph Options, what are you looking at?
We're in the same thing right now. I liked what RECT was doing with that consolidation, so let's see if we can get a little bit of a pop-up.
Me and you were in, bro. Look at that price, too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We in the party, man.
My guy.
Let's go. Let's see if the volume steps in, Sharif. I think that's going to be really key on this name. We're getting that pullback in IBIT. We're going to stay posted up right there. It's either we're going to catch the fill, but we have to be cautious of the downward momentum as well. But considering we're going to stay up, let's go RECT. I want this name to go up to 3 schmackers. If we can catch up in a halt there, we're going to be rocking and rolling. It's slowly moving. But I'm holding this, man. We're going to dive. We're going to Deontay Wilder this. That Tyson Fury fight this weekend was absolutely laughable. The Conor Ben fight was pretty good. It was all right. I mean,
Ben needs to move up in weight.
He fought at 150.
First of all, he couldn't. He 147.
No, that Progress fight was at 150.
It was a catch weight?
Yeah, it was 50.
Okay, because he was in
welter.
Because he kept making 149. I was watching the weigh-ins, and he's like, "Why am I keep coming in heavy?" So I figured he was over 147, and he was bitching about that.
No, I think they fought at 150.
And then number 2, do you see how lean his face looks at that weight? My man needs to move up.
Yeah, you think
he's clearly a bigger man than that, right?
Yeah. I mean, Progress was looking pretty big there, to be honest with you.
I got to tell you, I think that Ryan Garcia, people are talking about him and Ryan Garcia tying up.
I think
that would be
Garcia
a good
smacks
one.
him.
Let's watch, bro.
He didn't look that great.
Come to my place for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Every time Joey says Deontay Wilder, it leads to boxing talk. Yeah, I mean, Artemis, man, what else do you want to say? Man? The bronze bomber himself. IBIT, let's go RECT. It's either going to break out aggressively here, Sharif, I'm thinking, or it's going to fail. But we're going to stay optimistic and say we're going to get that breakout here as it's up to $51. Let's pull it up on our chart, but considering all we have is a post up on IBIT, I might remove that if RECT really starts to cook up for for us today, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter the price. It doesn't matter anything. If it looks like you're going to set up, you want to try to get involved. And there is RECT, 110% here on the day. A nice clean flush on the ask. That's what we want to see. Continue to climb. There we go. We get that pop there, baby. Let's go, Sharif. That's what we're talking about, man. Let's go. I wanted to break this. I wanted to break this 280 mark and then head into $3, man. So we're going to be forward looking on this one to see if we can get a continuation. Sharif has a penny better than I do.
Don't you ever forget that.
Hey. All right, let's see. Now I won't forget. But you partialed already.
Yeah.
Oh, who didn't partial?
Boom! Into 60, Joseph.
Who didn't
Hold
partial?
on, bro. Hold on. We got to wet the beak here, my guy. There goes RECT to the upside. Looking for 64s here, Joey. We keep flashing threes. No continuation,
no continuation, though.
All right, guys, we're having a good time, man.
If it breaks, listen, I'm going to hold this for the break of this resistance zone, all right? We don't want too aggressive of a rejection, the kind of like we're seeing right now. So for you, smart to take some profit, clean flushes to the downside, and it breaks out, and you're out. As quick as you would like. Yeah. We did get a 20-cent pop, but I mean, let's go. Let's see if we can. There is a seller at 2060. Push price down aggressively. We got almost up into 2070. If it breaks the lower end of this range, we're out. Other than that, we're going to hold this north of this resistance zone. Way to take profit on that one. Careful, Joey. Oh,
what happened?
Careful is my uncle name. Not my middle name, but it's my uncle's name. Aside from that, that's his nickname. Careful. Anyways, aside from that, let's see if we can get this move. Boom. RECT, are you taking more on it, or are you going RSMG?
My boy, we're in RMSG. We're doing two things here. There goes RMSG into the high of the day. There's 53. There's the beak wetter at 53. Look, we need to close above the $0.50 if we want to start talking about it as a possible level of support. We know for a fact it's been resistance. And there's the high. Guys, limit up is 58 on RMSG. There it is on my time and sales there. It's always the red rectangle. There's the halt parameter. False halt into 58. We're back into the halt parameter here. I think it moved up. So moved up now. So 61, halt level 61. We're going to wet the beak up here into 60. Boom! Into RMSG, showing 61 halt parameter.
Crazy.
But it's not giving me that kind of when all the price comes in, you can kind of tell it's going into the halt parameter. It's not doing that yet, even though 61 is limit up. Continuing to watch here, down into 56 it goes, but good strength here on RMSG, baby. What do we got? We got 44s. We just took out 60s there, so that's decent trade. Looking for a little bit more. If we can clear this level, I do have a bias that this one will work into two. I'd like, ideally, you get into that 70 penny area, maybe high, mid-60s, and then you drop back into the $0.50, and then you watch a time and sales, you watch a level two, and you see, are the buyers stepping in aggressively at that $0.50? And that's the question that I always have to ask before you want to get in. Just because it's support and resistance psychologically at times doesn't mean it will be every single time. But RMSG is doing its thing, 25 over here. We're going to see what this one does. Cool brioche, ALLO into VWAP. Let's have a look. All right. So this looks like one that I know for a fact. Luis, I know you're in the chat, brother. Were you looking at this, Luis? Because this looks right down your alley. A failed reclaim of VWAP and a drop all the way back down to Hades. And you know what Hades is, right? Okay, all right. ALL.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
All right back down into that 3 3.25. Anyway, no, not you, Luis Ramon. No, our Luis from Barcelona, Spain. We're talking about Luis Barbado, baby. But I got to do this again. Here we go again, man. We're going to post here at 60. We're going to go 64 on RMSG. Then I'm going to go 69er. I longed the consolidation pre-market on ALLO. I see. So you were seeing the bull flag. That doesn't make sense. That absolutely makes sense to me. So it looks like you did get that continuation, Luis, but then that seller at 5 was kind of annoying. But I would have done the same thing you did there, brother. Same thing. That's a bull flag, and I won't be convinced any different. Just because it didn't continue into a second bull flag doesn't mean that this pattern wasn't valid. You can see the breakout there on volume, mind you, 845. It had 1.12 million shares of vol. But then it failed. And so that's kind of what I would be looking at this for. This is a failure to hold VWAP and a drop back down. So your question was, does this make it back to VWAP? Well, it might. It might make it into that 410 area, really depending on where VWAP is. But I wouldn't be looking to go long, personally. I'm just telling you my opinion on ALLO. I'd be looking to go short here. And then Luis shorted VWAP later. It's exactly what I thought. This is Luis's setup, man. This is his setup right here. This is fantastic. Big drop, a loss of VWAP, and an attempt to reclaim VWAP at around 10 a.m. and in a very, very clear loss with a doji candle and a monster red candle to make a new low on a closing basis. So ALLO, to me, looking very short friendly into VWAP. Joey, I don't know how you feel. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm still sitting in this RECT here. We don't want to get wrecked or anything along those lines. So if we have to get out when we're supposed to, then by all means. We never got Bitcoin to fall into our level. It's just bouncing off of it continuously at that 40.66. I want 6 pennies lower. So maybe we don't catch that fill. As soon as we breach this zone, the support level in RECT, then we just get out of dodge on it. The lower end of the range would be more ideal if we can get an additional pump higher, but there's obviously a seller here at 260. We have multiple touches right at that 260 mark, and then we reject aggressively. So when you have that breakout, if we zoom in and take a look at the volume by time profile, that's a nice stair step higher, but then it's immediately met by some defense, and it's substantially a lot more volume than what we had going in the uptick. So, I mean, it's not the best of looks right now. Break of the range, it's either we hit target up here north of that or we get stopped out break even, but we can have some large participants. Now we are participants step in, these things can be moved, bang, now we're printing 45s, closer to 46s at the ass is exactly what we want to see, get a clean flush, but we need the volume. Look at the lower intervals here, the 1 minute. It's not being continued. We need to drastically see that step up to the point where it's noticeable and not very, like, look how little that is. You can't even really tell anything. Like, I'm trying to see how much volume is in there. It's only like 63,000 shares when this one had 7.8 million or something along those lines. So a lot going on there. How many shares? 95 million shares traded on the day. This is it, man. I got the feels. We're going to get that breakout that we're looking for in RECT. RMSG has been him today. That's been a really good one, and it's unfortunate that we never caught that fill here on IBIT as it's continuing to climb higher. So a nice move. We were below the range for any forms of liquidity grabs, but doesn't seem to be the case as we are now not too far from the HOD. We're still down 1.9%. Starting to climb. That's a good path that we're on, though. I like what we have. The overall market's starting to turtle shell over. You can see us curl over support level right here, guys. And same thing on the SPY. Palantir breaking trend right there. So that's a pretty good look if you're looking for that move back in towards the volume-weighted average price. Other than that, let's go RECT, and let's see if we can catch a fill on IBIT, man.
Yeah, man. All right, RMSG coming down so we don't get the next few fills. Sad about that. We were posted at 64, and here it comes close to my entry at 44. We're going to break even here if we get stopped out. You know what? I'll give it. No, I'm not going to give it, actually. It's going to be a break-even trade. I won't give anything back. So it has breached prior bar low. I'm talking about the current 5-minute candle, but it's dilly-dallying at the $0.50. So I don't want to be too aggressive with it, you know, because it wicks below the $0.50. The buyers step in. Maybe the shorts are stepping in as well. Who knows? And that's why there's a bit of an epic struggle here at the $0.50. So I don't want to take it out, even though it has breached prior bar low. What I'd like to do is just go break even on the trade for the last remaining amount. So let's see what RMSG has to offer. If it wants to weasel back up, get back into the 60s, perhaps that's an area for me to trade, to add. Pardon me, that's kind of what I meant by that. So we'll keep a close eye on this one. DLXY has lost trend, and it is of no longer of interest to me, okay? In fact, I'll be watching for one reason and one reason only, what this does at the volume-weighted average price at around 78, 79 pennies. Reason I say that is I may look over to Neil, and I may be like, Neil, how much are DLXY shorts going to cost me? I haven't decided yet, right? Because I don't think we're that substantially below the volume-weighted average price. But what I'm trying to get to here is the loss of VWAP after a good-looking pattern like this bull flag here and a bunch of higher lows. Sometimes, you know, those are the great setups for VWAP reclaim rejections. And what I mean is, you know, this one moseys on down to 70, tries to reclaim back into 79, 78.9, whatever it is, at VWAP, and then the sellers step in, and they get the hell out of there. or the shorts step in and they get in there, and they get in there pretty aggressive. So DLXY will be in focus for me as possible short. But there goes MNTS. This one's volume is reawakening. Guys, this one is light on volume, though. Look at this current 5-minute candle. We got about 81,000 shares and change, but that is a respectable hold of the volume weighted average price. Nary a breach, man. I mean, I don't even see a wick below that white line. So it's not the most liquid stock. It's a bit spready, and the volume is a little sus, but it's up 31 1/3. It's moving back into that 460 area. I'd like it a lot more if it's to break above prior area high. That's 467. If you can get above 467, it could be of interest. What else? CMCT is looking like hot garbage. This one also could be a VWAP rejection if you were short, if you're a small cap gapper, short inclined. This one lost VWAP, trying to reclaim it here. I don't think as aggressively maybe as DLXY, but one to keep an eye on nonetheless. What else are you guys looking at, man? 6, 7, get it, Alejandro. Buddhist priest, he's all over that. I like it. MGTN says good dough. Let's look at MGTN for the man there. By the way, Aloe, guys, recovering a little bit into 360. Watch out for 410 rejection, okay? Because that's VWAP. Let's take a look, though, at MGTN. What is that? You okay, Joey?
I'm just looking at something here.
You got caught there by Fabian. Fabian is not as nice as Assassino, right? Fabian, he'll put you on blast there. Yeah, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. GTN. Why is this thing loading? What is this magnificent oh, this is a Mag 7. MGTN. Oh, I just look at Mags. I didn't know that there was another one. Magnificent 10 index. Futures?
Who's in on that one?
I don't even know, Joey. I don't even know any information on this. Shout out to my man Jay Lee. I have no info on this, so I'm not even going to be able to read it out, but I do apologize. Yeah, sorry, brother. I can't even get any information on this. It's not loading up on my system. But
Are we not doing happening now today? And
I don't know. I'm waiting for the OGs to let me know. I don't make the rules around here. So here we go, guys. We're looking still at RMSG. It looks for the moment that it's defended the half dollar, definitely closed above it. I'm talking about the candle at 12, bottoming tail candle that did breach 50 pennies, but closed above it. Now the problem is this current candle on the 5, the 1205, has a lower high. Doesn't have a lower low, but it has a lower high. So trend, something to keep an eye out on here. Now, if we can breach above prior bar high, which is 61, that changes the game. And here we are. We got a bottoming tail candle. We're trying to make a move into 60. If we can breach 61, I have a bias that we are going to $0.75. Let's see. It's showing 58. The shorts are stepping in. The profit takers are stepping in. So we're getting no continuation, but something definitely to keep an eye on there. HURA says T2 trades. Let's have a look at Hurrah. Hurrah. Bro, I ate so much this weekend.
that's good, man.
It's crazy how much I ate. Man.
That's good.
And it's all like, you know, stuff that you eat twice a year, Christmas and Easter type thing.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, but I ate a lot, Joey.
That's good.
Well,
Any chocolate or anything?
Any chocolate? Yeah, man. Oh, there's so much.
All right.
Hey, what's that, Neil? Something's spiking. I have no idea what, but Adair is looking into it. As soon as we have it, she will let us know. Yeah, but there goes RMSG into the area. Hot, boom! Into 64. There's 65. Here, limit up is 70. I canceled my order at 69. Let's see if we can get in. I want to see if I can get caught in the halt limit up. 71 limit up, at least from what I saw. Let's see if it maneuvers back there so I can take a better look. Can't quite see what limit up is right now on RMSG, but that is a new high of the day into 68. We got 44s on. We're looking for continuation into 3/4. I just need to be able to see where the halt parameters are, and then I'll let you guys know. But I'm packing the patience over here and taking a look at Hurrah, and Hurrah looks fantastic. It just suffers from some volume. What, Neil? It's just suffering from some volume issues, but the chart pattern, you cannot disagree with this. Higher lows, higher highs, respectful of the 10 EMA, basically to no end. Last time it was below it was, it looks like before the pre-market or before regular trading hours in the pre. So definitely keeping an eye on that, but I'm holding here, Joey. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher.
Texas Hold'em, we got out of RECT here. I mean, it's heading towards the lower end. I mean, if we can catch the lower end of the consolidation, then that's fine. No issues with that whatsoever. We were in the middle of the range. You did get a nice little pop, but it's looking pretty weak right now. So we'll have to be patient to see if buyers are going to step in. I know these names consolidate for quite some time before they take additional leg higher, and I think that's kind of been the narrative here. I don't know if you're going to get one of those, but aside from that, we'll be patient. We'll post up. Are you kidding? You're lying to me.
What happened, Joey?
Of course, it's going now. There's no way.
It's a bit range bound, though, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is big time range bound. Volume not really stepping in or anything along those lines. But I mean, the tape looks pretty strong. We can always give it one more attempt, just in case that it does want to rock and roll. We are at the lower end of the range, and some clean flushes is exactly kind of what we want to see. Oh, we missed it. No way, dude. No way. There's no way.
I see it. I see it.
Literally, the next minute that I step out, you have something newsbound. It pops all the way back up into 60s. I'm posted up at 40s once again. I'm going to double up my size to see if we're fortunate enough to get that. But the minute I step out, it decides to go on a run right after. Insane. That's crazy. There we go. We're in it one more time, and I doubled it up. If it breaks that low, it's only a couple of pennies worth of risk. So be it. We get stopped out. I liked what I was seeing on the tape, but it's met immediately by some defense.
All right, just before we go to happening now and Neil's lesson of the day, guys, DLXY is losing. It is losing trend very aggressively. If this comes back to VWAP, this is looking like a great short candidate into about 77, 78, 80 pennies, wherever the hell VWAP is at the time. It's below 70 pennies now. This is looking real ugly here for DLXY, and it's just a matter of whether this one gets a retracement to retest some resistance levels where I will be a willing short participant. It really all depends on that. Are we going? Okay. All right, let's start happening now with Adara. Then Neil has his very coveted lesson of the day.
Geopolitical headlines still in focus, guys. Let's take a look here at the market. As you can see, we've got a big spike up here around 9:45 a.m. I'll just show a 15-minute chart to give you guys a bit of a wider look here. As we had reports that Iranian officials were considering abandoning uranium enrichment because we know this is what the U.S. wants in order for the war to end. Speaking of which, I think I know why we had that spike a couple of minutes ago, and it's nothing massive, but I'll tell you guys anyway. Of course, Axios reporting that during the negotiations here with Iran. So this is news from Saturday, but it's, I guess, slightly new information. Iran and the U.S., I guess, we're talking U.S. reportedly asking Iran to freeze uranium enrichment for 20 years during their talks. So 20-year freeze. Again, this is not confirmed, and this would be talks from Saturday, but that 20-year freeze ask is what I'm seeing is the reason potentially for that move. We also have to talk here about USO. Of course, this is generally going to move down as the market moves up on some of these catalysts. This was the move down again on the reports that Iran was considering abandoning its uranium enrichment. President Trump also posted earlier today that if any ships near their blockade, specifically what they're calling fast attack ships from Iran, they will be immediately eliminated, all caps. NVDA in focus here. NVDA specifically, some companies that NVIDIA could be investing in. Semi-Accurate reported that they're seeing some speculation that NVIDIA could be buying out a major PC and server-related names. So Dell, HPQ, HPE, and SMCI all moved on this catalyst. Again, this is highly speculative, no confirmation. Last but not least, we must remind you all, it's bank earnings season. We started with Goldman Sachs. Decent report, not too well received by the market. Tomorrow morning, we get Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and Citigroup from 6:45 to 8 a.m. Again, you're going to get a lot of visuals on this coming from XTTV Research to guide you along the way. So not to fear, we'll have a lot of content for you guys. But in the meantime, we've got content from our friend Neil. So strap in, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Neil, you have a lesson. What is the lesson?
Thank you, Adara. This one's going to be about risk to reward. Something that gets said very often. Traders say it all the time, but oftentimes it's like, yeah, but what do you really mean by risk to reward? Because the concept really is, if it loses, how much are you going to lose? That'd be your risk, and your reward is how much you make at the end of the trade. But how many times did you get out? Did you get out once? Wrong. Usually you get out only once, most of the time. But sometimes you get out twice, 4. Some traders get out like a dozen times taking profit. So really it comes down to understanding you're likely to have a blended price on the way out, which can make it a bit tricky to make sure that when you're trading, you have a proper risk to reward and that you're getting enough out of the trade relative to how much you're losing. Now, the first part of all of this comes down to what does it mean to be wrong on the trade and what am I losing? Like, that's the structure end of it. And then on top of that, to remember an important fact. When you're talking about risk to reward, if you just simply look at I traded stock X, Y, and Z, and I'm up on X and Y, and I'm down in Z, and I'm up more on X and Y than I'm down in Z, that's a good thing because it means that your winners, you're making more than on your losing trade. But if on stocks X and Y that you are up on, your risk to reward was terrible, but you did it anyways, you might have some underlying issues with your strategy. So with that said, I think looking at the individual trade, what you risked on that trade relative to what you make can be a little bit more informative. So this is what I'm getting into. Thought I'd get all of that out of the way, and then we can look at a couple of examples here. One, actually, I was just out at break even in IBIT, and I'm also going to discuss when something might cause you to move a stop or even just to get out of a trade, changing your pattern or changing your plan, reacting to news, because that actually happened here in IBIT. So anyone that watches knows one of my favorite and more standard setups is simply a trend break, right? So boom, higher low, higher low, higher low. So there's your morning holding the trend line, and then it bounces off that same trend, bounces, 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 breaks. So I'm in. I'm in, prior bar out. So I'm in at about 40.85. My prior bar out is about 96. It's 11 or 12 cents worth of risk. Now here's the key. Most times you'll hear me say retracement to VWAP is the target. But I'm usually going to get out at about 1-to-1, slightly better than that, take some shares out there, and let's say I get the rest out at the absolute bottom. It's going to be close to 2-to-1. Now, did I make 2-to-1 on that trade if I take some out at 1-to-1 and the rest out at 2-to-1, or half out at 2-to-1 and hold some for more? No. I'm very likely looking at simple math, 1.5-to-1, or if I hold some through VWAP, a little bit better. So this trade, sometimes you'll get a mean reversion that's bigger, and I'll give you an example of that. That's a 1.5-to-1 trade. So as it gets into this bottom at 1-to-1, one of the things that I usually do when it hits first target is tighten the stop. So the stop goes back into break even now that it's trending down. Partly because it's a mean reversion against the grain trade, if it resumes that upward trend, it's still technically on the higher time frame putting in some higher lows. I want to respect that. Now in this case, there was news on, we just had a big spike in USO to the downside. I punched some shares out for profit and then left the stop at break even. But the more important thing is, if I was getting out all inside of this range, let's just make an example. Let's say I was getting out like in here at 5, 6, 7 cents and then taking like the small wins. I could still be positive on the stock, but then I would only be getting like 0.7, 0.8, something along those lines, maybe even at best 1-to-1 on the trade, risk to reward. Now that's okay if you're winning 70, 80% of the time. But here's what I will tell you, and this is something over 20 years, this has been true. Almost no traders or trade strategies that are not done by algorithms do better than 52 to 55% win rates. That's just truth. So usually you want something that has a good RR, which is why if the best it can do is give me a small pullback and I need to get it all out in that, well, you're going to have it all if it doesn't work right away. That's not going to work. And just to prove to you that I do believe in that, I'll go over to something which is completely different of a strategy, right? Like it's this, well, same thing, but it's a much more like a wide open, let's say, take. Where like Circle, much bigger moves than IBIT. When it broke the trend, it was essentially at 75 in here, just underneath 95, actually closer to like the 80 level. Like it needs to go 50, 60 cents in the money before it breaks that 1-to-1. I'm holding, looking at the time it was 92, and going into a higher time frame, it was out in front of the 92 level that we wanted to be able to grab, pulling back in. Ultimately, doesn't really give me the full, but again, you hold it till it gives you that 1-to-1. In this case, It failed that prior support level. So with this, I knew if it's that strong, it's either hold for the extra $2 or make sure we get out taking our profit in here. Now, the reason for this, the way it's moving, I'm not going to be able to guarantee that I'm going to be able to get out within less than 5 or 6 cents of slippage if it comes into the top. I don't want to sit there and have it completely reversed. You can see how strong it's going to move. When it's going to give you expanded range, then I want to hold it for longer, but I also want to have a tighter trailing stop to ensure that we make our profit. Now remember, everything is about apples to apples. It comes down to not did I make on this trade, but how much did you make relative to what you risk. Now in this case, it only went step one. That's it. It did not follow through. I average about 60 to 70 cents on it, which is better than a 1-to-1. So if it only kind of works, then I'm still at better than 1-to-1. It wasn't a perfect trade, but it was an okay short setup. And that's the key. Like, I have to have myself in a situation where I'm positive if it goes step one. I'm holding for the bigger one that can give me 2, maybe 2.5 to 1, but I'm not going to lose if it's only an okay trade. You've got to find a way to make your decent setups not negative, your good ones positive, your great ones that you made enough relative to what you lose. And it's not about comparing Circle to IBIT or IBIT to Nike for me this morning, or Nike or any of these, or to a firm. It's how much did I risk on a firm. A firm here, risk 25 pennies. When it was in the money 10, 15 cents, I'm not taking anything out because I'm looking for it to give 1-to-1 and then pull the way back in. The proof's got to be in the pudding. You don't see me cover until I should be covering that trade. So that I know if a firm works, I'm going to be positive doing that 7, 8 times out of 10 when it's a coin flip trade. So if you want to find yourself in a situation where you can be 50 to 55% and be green, you have to understand it's apples to apples. Whether you won or lost on a trade, when you review it, you've got to look at, did my risk to reward hold on that trade? Not on the day, on these 7 trades that I took, on that trade that you made on that trade that you lost on. You have to have the ability to look at each trade separately. They all have their own risk parameters. They all have their own targets. They all have their own sets of volatility. So if you do that, then in the long run, you can be a consistently positive trader. And you know what? Trust me, not everybody's about that whole like consistent life. Like that's me. I get it. I like to be up every single month. That's just my strategy. If you can find something that works for you to hit 20 or 30% of the time, but make so much, good on you. That's pretty rare from what I've been able to see, but some traders make that work for them. If you're looking for consistency, then you've got to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, and not every trade is going to be exactly the same. I tell you how the lunch has gone, but I haven't even opened it. Doesn't look like we got that much ribs, but I'll let you know in a few minutes how they go in the chat. Good luck.
Couple headlines to go over before we send you back to Joe and Sharif. I had one of them here on the screen. Again, pretty vague. They all kind of are. But Israeli Channel 12 reporting that U.S. officials said talks with Iran are actually ongoing, and there is the aim of reaching an agreement. So speaking of talks with Iran, I mentioned the first half of this headline. During the happening now, the second half just came in, but again, about 10 minutes ago, when we started happening now, we did have this headline from Axios saying that during their talks over the weekend, the U.S. asked Iran to freeze their uranium enrichment for 20 years. Now, again, the second part of this headline that just came out, also from Axios, suggested that Iran heard this 20-year period, and they responded by saying, well, we'd prefer a shorter period to freeze this uranium enrichment, preferably in the single digits. So again, implying 9 years or less. If I get more details here, I will let you know, but that's basically what happened here. We already knew the U.S. was going to ask Iran to freeze their enrichment program, but we didn't know about the counteroffer from Iran. And again, sounds like, according to Israeli Channel 12, U.S. says they're still talking to Iran. So a couple new headlines. Again, nothing massive. Lots of very reactionary moves in this market. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. All right, guys, great information by Neil. Great information there from Adara. Thank you very much. Let's have a look, though. Arun, shout out to you, my man. Ooh, I'm going to sneeze. See if I can defeat the sneeze. The defeat, I lost. Thank you, Sia. Guys, this is the chart, the daily, on Avis Budget Group. What the hell is this? What is happening since February of this year? We're up 284%. Is the car rental business like the next AI? What the hell is happening with this company? I have no idea, but it looks really good. Weekly. This is the weekly. Let's just get out of the way. So we're still below those COVID highs. I don't think we may ever see those levels again. I'm talking about that 317. What was the high of this candle? Is that real? The high was 545.11. But as you can see, most of the prints were below that 300. All the closing prints. If we close the week this way, Arun, this would be the highest closing print, I think, in the company's history. Again, not below, not above, I should say, the week of November 1st of 2021. That is before Jerome Powell said inflation wasn't transitory, and we all know what happened in 22. If you don't, just go back and look. Very bad year for the market at large. But this is a really good-looking chart, dude. The only thing that I can say is maybe you're going to encounter some resistance here at 330, just with this topping tail candle. But if we close in this way, Arun, on the daily, this is a deadly breakout. We could be headed to 350, 400. I have no idea why this is moving up. I don't cover Hertz, Avis. It's not something that, I have really no idea. But we can look at the blotter. Let's see if what's coming in on the blotter these days. Avis budget car group forward meeting yields drop, but expected extra return. That was back on the 11th and 12th of this month. I don't really have too much in the way of information since that time, but yeah, this is a good one. Thank you for pointing this out. Just before we go to Adara, I've got my stop now on RMSG at 145, okay? My entry is 144. We don't have too much in the way of outs left, but there are some others moving, namely MNTS and CMCT, which we'll talk about as soon as we get back from Adara.
Yeah, for one here, I want to mention that with regards to some of these rental companies, there actually is at least partially a catalyst or something that's been attributed to some of that move up, Sharif. So the deal with some of these car rental companies, people started to look at these again during that February-March period, at least what I was seeing, because we had these TSA issues, right? TSA delays due to the DHS funding freeze. That was what I was seeing attributed to a lot of this move up in some of these car rental stocks. So I just wanted to address that. That's not the main reason I want to talk to you guys, though. I want to mention we have some more headlines in the oil space. Israeli media reporting that President Trump is actually looking to have another round of talks before doing further escalations with Iran. USO, again, near kind of the lower end of this range. You're pushing back a little bit of earlier intraday support as we get this headline. Nothing else that I'm seeing here on that. But again, President Trump reportedly looking to have another round of talks. Back to you.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, continuing to watch MNTS. This one's at the day high, 477. It's showing 75 right now. I think it's only been up above this level at 1045. Was that the 77 high, or we just got into 77? How come they're all showing me okay, whatever. I think we just made the high of the day, pardon me. MNTS up 36%. Definitely keep an eye on this. But we did get a $5 super chat from JKL Toddler Premium. It goes on, but it's cut off on my screen. Adair heads up the White House. Oh, I think you meant Adara.
Yeah.
Heads up the White House just called press to gather in press room. This was not scheduled. So there you go. Thank you very much for the information.
Nothing on it yet. I've already seen people speculate about this. If this is a thing, I'll find it.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. And thank you for the notification, JKL. Keep us apprised should anything change. Here's the deal.
What's this?
I'm looking at these two here, man. CMCT. This one's really kind of waking up, and it's picking up the bid here, man, off that 77 and change now. I had a bit of a bias that this might be a short, right? It loses VWAP. It drops back down, holds 75, and now it's well above VWAP, mind you. I think like kind of rejecting 87. It's still a lower high trend. If I really, had to say, this could be a bit of a downward channel, and it could be just using the volume weighted average price here as more of a line of best fit rather than any really area of support or resistance, because it hasn't respected it too much on the day, to be quite frank. So I'd be looking for this, and a decisive move above 90 definitely gets me into the long. If this loses the trend right now and breaks the volume weighted average price to the low side again, maybe breaks current candle low, then I think it's probably a short setup. But CMCT definitely in focus here, and it looks like it is breaking trend somewhat. MNTS as well, as we talked about this one right at that high of the day. I don't know, man. I don't like MNTS because of the volume and picking it up at the high of the day, given the spread, given the volume. It's not something I'm going to do. However, if it comes back into that $0.50, maybe a little bit higher at around 60 pennies where the 10 EMA is, I could be a willing participant then as a long. But for now and at this price, I'm going to say no go. But there goes CMCT, Joseph. This is going to take out 90 pennies. So this one's on its horse, man, and it could take out that previous area high. If it is, then this one likely hits that dollar, 95 penny high. We already talked about, whether that 95 penny move was its attempt at the dollar. Looks like maybe it's got a second wind over here. So if you're looking for something to trade in the world of small cap gappers, look no further than CMCT and MNTS, Joey.
Market really moving here, guys. I mean, let's get involved in some Palantir for the potential break, a nice consolidation off of these lows. So that's what we're looking for. The market absolutely screaming. Let's see if we can get this name to participate. Never caught that fill at 60s. Here, essentially on IBIT. That's all right. I think we're going to head towards the high of the day right here, Adara.
Yeah, we're hearing here Fox News reporting that Trump could be speaking at any moment. I'm still trying to find the stream on this White House stream. I checked like a couple minutes ago. There wasn't anything there. But again, as we wait comments from President Trump, this market pushing higher. It's also worth noting we just had Axios reporting that there is continued engagement between the U.S. and Iran. They're trying to get an agreement. We've heard a couple reports to that effect. Let's wait to see what Trump says. Back to you.
All right, get the agreement here because it's going to help drag the market higher as it is right now, and Palantir is starting to climb a little bit for us. So if we can get this continuation, that's going to be absolutely prime time. We were trying the RECT. It didn't work for us. It didn't break out. Lots of volatility. We got out at a good time. Sharif had a nice trade on that one, but other than that, we're up 4%, 4 1/3 here on Palantir. A nice little pop, but no continuation thus far. We are on the backside of this trend, so we have to take that into consideration. I mean, we have to hold it until the break of this level right there. If it does, then by all means. Man, oh man, IBIT is the trade that we wanted. Continuous move. I mean, that's 30 minutes of straight buy program here on Bitcoin. That's a positive sign of strength. Now we just need it in Palantir, essentially. I posted up at 30s, but then it gave me a horrible fill up here at like 65. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, exactly, is going on as Bitcoin's continuing to climb. The overall market is as well, and Palantir just not participating. I mean, just my luck at this point. Anyways, aside from that, Intel continuing to move higher. We can run through our scan and see what we got going on here, guys. CoreWeave, Palantir, we've been talking about it nonstop. Oracle, I heard, has been putting in an absolute monster day, and that has been the case up to $152. That is substantial here on Oracle as it's now bounced off of that 137 low, engulfing this essentially whole consolidation zone and then continuing to climb a little bit higher. So a good look on Oracle. And NBIS with the downgrade, I believe, this morning, but then continuing to climb higher. Nebius Group, wow, what an absolute monster run up, 157, punching through that 142 previous pivot high, holds it almost to the penny there, folks, and then off to the races it goes. IREN, I know my boy Jose was trading on DAS this morning. Let's see with ONDS and see what they got cooking up over there. ONDS. Dang. Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure, man. Anytime. Yeah. SoFi. What's up with SoFi? Pretty strong session. How's our boy Robinhood doing? Strong names across the board, and this is what we've been seeing the past couple of days have been relatively strong, and that's pretty good for some of the names that have been absolutely beat up and destroyed, like Robinhood up to, that's SoFi. Platform's so
FBI just raided Altman's attacker's home.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay, get those guys out of here. There it is, 768. We're still down 45% off of that high, maybe a little bit more. So we've been getting destroyed on that one. 53% to be exact in Robinhood. Not too good of a look. Apple, not performing. I mean, the overall market continuing to climb higher, and Apple's just breaking through the volume-weighted average price. So that's a little bit tougher of a look there in AAPL. Now, as for Ethereum, how have you been doing? Not too bad. Market slowly starting to come back in here. Palantir breaking down off of this consolidation high. Yeah, so I mean, tougher look here this morning, that's for sure. We had some trades on last week, but today to start the week a little bit tougher of a start, Sharif.
That's the way it works, Joey. You know, I don't have to tell you that. Yeah. You obviously know. So do I. Trading game. All right. President Trump will speak soon at the White House. So as soon as that happens, we will, of course, bring that to you. Adara's locked and loaded. I've got it up on the side as well on Fox News. I'm sure a lot of different networks will be covering that. Zion, my man. Sharif, think ALMU can take up higher, holding VWAP and great government contract news. Shout out to you. Let's have a look at ALMU for the OG Zion. Quick look over here. I think I looked at that one already, but, you know, I do have it up 41%. It's a good look. I like this, man. I do like it, but it just hasn't given me the reason to weasel in at the moment, because look at this. It's a plethora of lower highs since I sat down, Zion. This one has been making lower highs. Also, the spread is not my faves. Right now, it is 22 on the ask, 18 on the bid. It's not bad. I don't want to crap all over that. That's not bad. What I'd like to see, though, is a decisive area hold. So, you know, it's been making its way down oftentimes to 15, pops back to like 15.75, no continuation. So then it ends up making yet another lower high. And then all the while, it's coming into 15. All right, it just keeps coming back into that 15 area. So to me, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. It just hasn't given me the setup yet. Now, if you want to put maybe a resting order between 15 to about 14 and change, 14.80 and change, pardon me, where the volume weighted average price is, that could be a move as well. And if it loses this area low, Zion, I'm talking about the 945 to 1015 bar, the low candle of which is this one here, the 950 one. The low is 1438. If you can stomach that kind of move, that's also acceptable. I think also you could put at around 1450 for possible out there. That's not a bad one. ALMU is the one I'm talking about. But here comes RMS freaking G again, Joey. Into 63. We're waiting in the mid 70s. It's a 68 penny high. We can't seem to shake the sellers in the mid 60s, but I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it. And if it fails at 45. I'm in at 44. I'll give it 1 penny, right? I'm not even giving it 1 penny. What am I saying? I'm going to make 1 penny on the last remaining amount if I get stopped out. But I'm interested here in RMSG. If we can take out 68, I have a bias that we probably work into 2. If that's the case, I'm going to add to the position. We're going to Adair.
President Trump posting a whole bunch of stuff on Truth Social, at least 2 posts over the last couple of minutes. Here's the one that's related to the market, though. Quote, 34 ships went through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, which is by far the highest number since its foolish closure began. President, all caps, Donald J. Trump. So President Trump, I guess, saying that ships went through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. Quite a few, actually. Now, we know they have this blockade that started at 10 a.m. We also know we're supposed to hear from him in a press conference that could begin at any moment. I'm locked and loaded, waiting to see what happens here. But again, if this happens, when this happens, I'll let you know. White House live stream, for what it's worth, still not up for this.
Yeah, I can go through this.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be the Strait of America soon. Madness, man. Wait, it's true, man. I mean,
oh my days! Can you imagine?
No, I mean, I could. Like, I literally could imagine. Yeah.
No, bro, come on. He wouldn't do that.
No.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that kind of stuff, Joey.
That was crazy.
He doesn't rename bodies of water, you know.
Only a matter of time until it's called that.
Sorry, guys. I don't mean to laugh, but it's funny.
Yeah.
All right. MNTS hanging out the highs. CMCT hanging out at the highs on the way to stop, chat. On the way up to 97. Look, it had a topping tail candle into 97. That's never a good look. Current candle has a lower high and a lower low. So this could be, you know, a little bit of a sell area here on CMCT. We're going to pack the patience. We're going to see if we can pick up something maybe off 85 pennies. I think that's where VWAP is, kind of oversecting a little bit with the 10 EMA on the 5. I'm going to keep an eye out on this one. I don't have a move on it yet, in the same way that I don't have a move here on RMSG. Moves into the mid 60s, and yet another rejection of the mid 60s. In fact, there's only 2 candles that actually closed above 60 pennies on the day. And one of them is where we made the high at 68. That was a 1205 candle. And then the one that we just got into that got me all excited, the 1230 candle, closed out at, what was that close there? 61. So whip-de-doo. Yeah, nothing continuing right now. So MNTS just got into the high of the day again. 483 is the high. The spread's tightening up too. 81 on the bid, 83 on the ask, and moves up into 84 now. So that's another area high. This could be on the way to 5 sooner rather than later. Trade it carefully though. It's a lower volume stock and not exactly always liquid. It does have tendencies to open up the spread. Pause for a second. We're going to Adair.
Yeah, RKLB pushing up higher here, guys. Receiving grant approval here from the FCC. They've granted Rocket Lab approval for experimental operations related to launch vehicle and recovery activities. So again, RKLB getting some approval here from the FCC. Back to you.
Good start.
All right, Opshi.
Yeah, I mean, not much going on here, man. We're going to hold on to this Palantir. The market was climbing. It wasn't participating, so maybe it's losing a little bit of its steam. And we can see on the 5-minute time frame, it's not looking too good right now. So, I mean, if it breaks through this support level, then we just get out of Dodge and accept it for what it is. So, a slower start, man. Sleepy this morning as well, too. I actually had the intention of not trading whatsoever today. Yeah, I didn't really want to be honest. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I was thinking about that, to be honest. I was, yeah. And I'm probably going to for the rest of the week, man. Just chill out, let this thing cool out, wait for some volatility spikes.
Bad idea.
Yeah, and just hop in sim, considering, like, I mean, we've had a couple of green days already this month, but I mean, it's like, come on, man. We want to do significantly better. And if we're not performing how we want to, then it's just lay off the gas pedal and see if we can get something else rolling. Bitcoin's continuing to climb. The market SPY, the Qs are a little bit higher. Palantir not doing too much. And then also RMSG still hovering around that highest consolidating. A nice move higher here, guys. That base at 65 was prime. I wanted to see if we can get into 60s, right? That's exactly where I was posted up, right at this resistance zone to see if we can get a move and a continuation. But sure enough, it just decided to go on a race of its own. Now Palantir is starting to break down a little bit. We're not going to DCA or anything along those lines. I do believe that we can head up into that 135 mark, especially if we get one more volatility spike. Maybe it just needs to absorb. It's consolidating. There is higher lows on the 5-minute time frame, but the buying pressure just seems relatively weak. So we have multiple trend lines here that we can take into consideration, and the ebb and flow of this little miniature secondary channel that we can have going on right here on PLTR. Adara.
This is super minor, but it's kind of funny. As I can see here on Sharif's screen and my own screen, we've got President Donald Trump. He's getting delivery, and it seems like it's McDonald's, because I'm not joking. MCT got a spike. MCT actually spiked a little bit. I had the chart up already. I saw this, and then I wanted to connect this. Yeah, it looks like here we had a spike in MCT as President Trump, and I am not joking, gets a delivery of McDonald's. So nice look here for MCT. Also, a woman is wearing a shirt that says DoorDash Grandma. DASH is also spiking. Again, things that we cannot make up over here at Trader TV Live. Furthermore, President Trump, we know he said there were 34 ships that went through the Strait of Hormuz. NBC citing data saying it was actually 4 ships, so 30 less ships than President Trump claimed went through the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
All right, yeah, thank you, Adara. He is now talking. DoorDash Grandma. Dash got a pump as well into the high of the day, 158.85. I mean, DoorDash is at the White House. McDonald's is at the White House. I don't know who this Dash grandmother is, but she looks like she's a sweet old lady. So we're gonna shout her out. Shout out to Dash Grandma. But President Trump is talking to her. It looks like he's taking some questions now. So here come the wild cards, okay? So get ready now for the volatility. Could come in at any moment. Who knows what he's gonna say? Who knows what he's going to get asked? So it is wild card time. Trump speaks from the White House, reads a headline there by Fox News, okay? Keeping an eye on that in the same way that I'm keeping an eye on RMSG. This one looks like it's going to be yet another lower high, and here it comes again into the 50 pennies. I know the position board's out, but I've got 44s on, and there it is, and that ends the trade. It moves into 45. We get out at 45. So as Obi would say, what is the next trade, okay? And here it is, MNTS rejecting 490, coming back down now into 77s. Guys, there is a buyer previously at 75. This could be an interesting area here. Look at how long we rejected 75 pennies. I'm just going to get in here for you know what and giggles. I'm going to take a negligible amount of shares just so that I can actually practice doing this, all right? We're in at 78. Let's see if this one actually defends 75. We're going to go ahead and throw in our stop right below there, and then we're going to send you to Adara because she's got news.
President Trump chatting outside the White House, and chatting about Iran, saying that we've been called by the other side, I guess referring to Iran, and they want to make a deal very badly. So in addition to moving DoorDash and McDonald's today, President Trump also said that they've been called by Iran and Iran wants to make a deal.
You want to start singing that Adele song, Hello from the Other Side, or should I?
You can start. You can start.
You can start. Oh, man. Oh, man, Joey. No one calls, bro. No, my calls, bro. What does that mean, melodic? I don't know what that means.
Option calls.
Oh, okay. All right. We're in on MNTS over here. Super tight stop. If it loses 75, it loses me at a trader. But there goes CMCT into 99.9. Here comes the dollar. There's aggressive selling there. It's an official dollar high on CMCT, and that puts it in triple-digit territory on the day, up over 100%. You can't have them all. You can't have them all, but I had certainly eyes on this one. You know, you can't have them all. But there goes MNTS again into the area high. We just wet the beak there in the mid-80s. We're going back to Adara.
Yeah, more comments here coming from President Trump on oil, saying that many ships are heading to the U.S. to load up on oil. He also said that Iran did not agree to not having a nuclear weapon. So echoing what we already knew, Iran was not going to really make those agreements with the U.S. on nuclear, though he did say that they agreed to, quote, almost everything. So this seems to be the one holdout. Also said the blockade has started and they could resolve Iran before tankers get to the U.S. in terms of, I guess, having these other countries get oil from the U.S. So we're going to have to wait and see. He's been, as he has been on this a lot, there's a lot of comments one way, a lot of comments the other way. Back to you.
Hello, what? Many ships. Many ships.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with that. They're not going to, the ships can't wish death upon you, you know what I mean? Like maybe the captain of the ship.
Sure they can.
The commander, the rear admiral, they could all wish death upon you.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think the ship personally could be wishing death upon people.
It's a man destroyer. It's built to destroy.
Yeah, but people usually works.
All right.
But yeah, guys, MNTS, here we go again. Joey just showed 87s. We got 78s here. We're looking for continuation above 90. This looks strong. So even though the prior bar on the 5 did close as a bottoming tail hammer candle, we are not above prior bar high quite yet. To get above prior bar high, I'm talking, of course, about the 1240 candle on the 5. We got to get above 486. I have my order here at 88s. We're showing 86 right now on the level, on the ask side of the level 2. The spread has tightened up into 1 penny. So let's see if we can get into $5. I'm going to be waiting at 88, and then I'm going to be waiting in the mid-90s. Let's see what this one has to offer us, Joey, but I'm packing the patience over here as some of these other ones pull back.
All right, man, good stuff. Bitcoin still continuing to climb here. Let's see if this thing's going to break the high of the day. We'll go through a couple more names and see if we can find anything potentially a trading. Like that DoorDash fade, that pop and that fade right here around that high around 58.60. I was looking at this one, sure enough, decides to move a little bit lower. So that's not a bad look whatsoever in DoorDash. And we were talking about this. I mentioned that Neil had a really good trade on the fact that it's like, hey, on that volatility spike, we're going to just fade that pop. And that's exactly what happened here on DoorDash, up 3 1/4. You're still negative on Bitcoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if it really starts to close that gap, guys. Excuse me, I ate an orange. Now, that's looking pretty good as the market is still hovering. There's so many indecision prints around the highs. It's like, okay, you have selling pressure, buying pressure, selling pressure, buying pressure. It's just like, it's absolute madness right now. And some volatility spikes would be worthwhile, considering it's like, come on, like the market's at its highs, Palantir's not doing anything. Come on, Alex Carbon Company. All we need is one more comment. Just put it in brackets. Just put Palantir in brackets one more time for the boy to see if we can find a potential trade over there. Let's head back over to our small cap scanner. You know, Sharif's been all over them today. RECT, how's that been doing? Okay, it's forming this wedge, right? It's kind of like, it's somewhat attractive over here. Like you were talking, Sharif, I like this, right? Like for this triangle, yeah, that compression, yeah, that descending triangle compression pattern. Who knows, man? Eventually, like if you have some candles, some 5-minute candles start to open up on the back side of this, on the top end of this range, it snaps this downtrend. There's a lot of wicks that are in play, but if it opens up here, then maybe off to the races it can go. Market's screaming right now. Palantir's starting to recover, so that's a good time over there. That's what I'm talking about.
Screaming.
Market is screaming. What's it screaming? Manny, man, is it screaming? Huh? It's not?
I don't know, Joey.
Yeah, all right. We'll call it that. What's the other one? Man, you know, for the longest time, I was singing this guy's songs in elementary school. 50
50?
Cent. Yeah, without no idea of essentially what they mean.
Like my window shop.
Or like my buddy.
Yeah,
my buddy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know what that meant at the time, man. I'm singing that in the hallway. But they're like, do you know what you're talking about, Joseph?
Yeah.
No, not a clue, to be honest with you. CMCT at the high, almost printed that $1.03, it was around the high, but RMSG was him today as it's starting to pull back a little bit here, Sharif.
All right, here we go. China Xi wants to see this end, because he wants some oil. I mean, he's been hurting lately, and we know that Asia's hurting a little bit more than North America.
I can tell you where the oil's at, Sharif.
Where's the oil at, Joey?
States has more than the Gulf countries, apparently, and Iran all combined. So.
And yes, absolutely. And, you know, they've got political pressure that doesn't allow them to
Why didn't they just start shipping a little bit if they knew that this was going to be a conflict?
They're energy independent now, man. I mean, I think they produce as much as they consume on a daily basis. Fact check me on that, chat. I could be wrong. But there goes MNTS into another area high. We got 78s. There's 97. We're looking for 5s. I'm waiting at 99 as a liquidity tester to see if we can get something there. MNTS is on its horse. Here comes 98. The sellers are running scared here, man, and they're going to probably have a little bit of support at 5 as the profit takers likely will be hitting the sell button like myself, but it's the shorts that we need to be concerned ourselves with because they're going to take advantage of the selling pressure by the longs taking profits at the whole dollar level. So that is something to watch out for. Let's see how high we can get. It looks like, you know, we're getting more size coming in here at 97, but I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be looking to see what kind of resistance we're going to be getting at the half dollar. Right now, it looks pretty decent. Doesn't look like anything monstrous is coming in. If we can move up to 98, I'll get a bit of a better look. But for now, we're going to Adair.
Yeah, and more on oil from President Trump. He said oil companies will do well there and here. So kind of a vague blanket statement here. He also said that it will not be pleasant, quote unquote, if Iran does not make a deal within 2 weeks. So President Trump upping the pressure on Iran, saying that some oil companies might do well amidst all of this. We know, as Sharif mentioned, put that headline up there on the screen, that China is also being mentioned here. He said that President Xi of China also wants this to end. And then, quote, we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this meaning Iran.
There was an interview with the president of Cuba on the weekend.
Yeah.
I think it was CBS or NBC, somebody like that.
Yeah.
The reporter or the journalist put to him, she's like, if President Trump would strike a deal with your country predicated upon you stepping down, would you step down? He refused to answer the question. He's like, do you ever ask any other leader?
That question?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he dodged it. I mean, I'm not trying to crap on the guy. He can answer what he wants and not answer what he wants.
Absolutely,
but
man.
The fact of the matter is that this is in focus now. You know what I mean? Like, we are talking about regime change in multiple countries. That's a fact. That is a fact. We already got it in Venezuela. People say taco all the time. I think it's an absolute misnomer. This guy's literally and figuratively pulling the trigger. Is he not?
This guy literally like went into another country, extracted the president, the prime minister, president, whatever it is, and just like threw him in jail. Like talk about like complete. It's like who else can do that?
Whether it's legal or not, it's not. I mean, I'm not arguing the legality of it. I'm really not. I'm just saying he does.
That's insane. How do you do that? Like, you just ran up into another country, snatched their leader, and are like, yeah, we're throwing you in jail, bro.
Yeah, bro. I've seen worse, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah. I love all the different opinions in the chat, man. Bring it all. As long as it's clean, bring it all. If it completely disagrees with what Joey and I are saying, I love it anyway, man. Bring it all. Just make sure it's clean. That's all. All right, guys, continuing to watch here, MNTS. It's just hovering at 496, 497. There isn't enough buying, clearly, to move the sellers into this level, so I'm going to have to watch to see if there's going to be a big flush, because that's what it feels like there is. You know, it's kind of like the calm before the storm. All right, back into 97 we go, getting a better look here at what kind of size we're expecting at this 97 penny level. I got to tell you, unless there's a monster hidden seller, I'm not seeing too much in the way of size, with the biggest size there being 1,100 lots there on Memex, right? Nothing really scaring me at this level, but we know in the world of small cap gappers, that can change in a heartbeat and you can find yourself on the wrong side of the trade. So keeping a close eye on this one, and I don't want you guys to forget that CMCT is also doing its thing 25 over here at 99 pennies because it is trying to work back into that dollar again. So CMCT is still not, I don't think it's done, and it's up 100%, give or take, 99.5%, but I would not personally not want to get into this one until it has decidedly cleared the $0.50 and or it drops back down into a key area of technical support that I can say, yes, this is the right area to pick it up. I'm thinking more about 90 pennies, give or take. And there's the flush. Sadly, on MNTS, looks like the shorts are winning out for now. Now, here's the deal. So I'm in at 78. It's showing me 90. Prior bar low, which is the candle that closed green at 1245, the low of which is 484. I can give this to 479. So we're going to give this to 479, and that will be 1 penny above my entry, which is fine with me. And that gives it more than I should be giving it because I should be giving it to prior bar low, which is 84. So technically, I should be putting it at 83. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it a little bit of room, lest it, zig and zag. But the point of me staying in here is for an attempt at 5. That's all I've got for that. Okay. What are you guys talking about? Cool brioche. Sky Q is back. Neil actually pointed that out to me this morning. I was like, Neil, this is a second day play because Sky Q, I had some banger trades on Friday. Let's take a quick look. Okay, it's breaking down. It definitely had a nice move in the beginning. I want to say at around 9:15, and then it didn't even make it to the open. Started tanking. So I got to tell you, cool brioche, that is. I don't like this until about 13 to 12 and a half. And the reason I say that is, look at that 13. Well, we know 13 is whole dollar, so that could be an important area. And then the closing print from Friday, that doesn't take into consideration the aftermarket, by the way. But the closing print from Friday is 1260, give or take. So I don't know, man. I don't like it. Right now, if it bounces back above 14, given that it just put in that kind of bottoming tail candle, we could have a conversation for a possible move back up into 15. But for me, I'm steering clear of Sky Q on the day. It is not setting up for me in the right way. Still up 9.45%. I get that, but chart pattern locally is not that great, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's just get out of this Palantir because it's not working. It didn't participate in that rally higher, and I think at some point it's going to tank. Bitcoin's coming back in, and then RECT. Okay, there it goes. It broke that trend. I mean, this is what we were talking about in this specific name. It's just the fact it's like, all right, bang, you're on the back side of it now. Maybe off to the races it can go. Yeah, Adara.
Yeah, just an update here. President Trump has concluded his comments for now outside of the White House. I mean, we know he ordered food, so I'm guessing he'll probably eat said food. Then a little bit while later, we will hear from him. As we've heard, they've already gathered the press, I guess, to wait to hear his comments. Apparently, he'll be in the Oval Office today. I was seeing some reports suggesting that. Once we hear from Trump, I will keep you posted. Worth noting, still no White House stream for this live. Usually there will be some kind of stream. So once I start seeing, I've been refreshing every 2 or so minutes. Once I see stream open, I will keep you guys posted. I'll continue to let you know. But yeah, it looks like we might have a couple minutes of no Trump news as he, I'm assuming, eats his DoorDash.
Oh, man.
Yo, let the man eat, man.
McDonald's?
He needs his energy, man. You got to do
so McDonald's is energy?
It is. Any calories are energy. It's not good energy.
Yeah, it's not good energy.
Yo, we booked, my cousins and I booked the Colombia trip. So it's going to be me and my 2 younger cousins. And by younger, I mean 40 and 39. So, yeah. So they're a little bit. Listen to this.
Where are you guys going? When?
So, listen to this. So I work August 13th would be my last day.
Okay.
And I fly out August 14th at 1 a.m.
Damn.
So I take the red eye, so I go home.
But you're there in the morning.
Exactly, hold on.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a 6-hour flight. So I leave 12:55, I land 5:55 in Bogota. So 6 hours, so you sleep on the plane, right?
5:55 a.m.
5:50,
Yeah.
so I get there 6 a.m. essentially.
That's
right?
good.
So I have the entire day of the 14th. So I stay 14, 15 in Bogota, and then 16 in the morning, I fly out from Bogota to Medellin.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. So then Medellin, 16, 17, and then I fly out 18 in the morning to Cartagena.
How long you going, man? You're using up.
Oh boy, if you know about Cartagena, you know.
Yeah, how long you going there? You're using up all these days.
With these, I'm gonna take 6 days, including the weekend, so it'll be another 6. And then we're gonna stay 18, 19, 20, 21 in Cartagena, and then 21 at night, 8 p.m. I fly from Cartagena back to Bogota, where my flight will leave for Toronto at 12:05. So I come back to Toronto 7:20 a.m. and I get the entire day in Toronto, and then I can like actually rest on the 20th.
Yeah, that's good. All right, man. Okay, so you got the August thing. I'm just letting you know. You know your boy goes away for New Year's, so you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's your
you know what I mean. So, but I see you have the days locked off already. Are you gonna have enough, my friend? Are you gonna have enough vacation?
Yes,
days?
I have enough vacation days.
All right,
but
man.
look at this guy, man. He's unbelievable. I can't even read that, man. Adam, you're killing me, bro. Sharif, thank you for the $2 super chat, Adam. That's all we're going to read from that. But I appreciate you. But guys, I would really love some help with this trip because I don't know too much about the country. I have a few Colombian friends, obviously, that I can bounce ideas off, but I'd love for you guys to give me some direction. Like I hear Cartagena's beaches are not the best in terms of like white sand and turquoise. So you go to like nearby islands, apparently. They're fantastic. So I'd like some suggestions, guys. I'd be ever in your debt for that. Stop, Joao Cunha, man. You guys are killing me, man. 06. Oh, you guys are bad, eh? You guys are really bad. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading these comments in the chat, but you guys are funny. This one is popping. Thank you. We got some trades going on here. ARAI. Let's have a look at that. I'm gonna stop reading these comments. ARAI. Let's have a look, Joey. You know, man, this is the first time I'm actually going on vacation with these little punks, eh? Like these are my first cousins. They're not like distant cousins, but we've never been on vacation together. So I'm kind of really pumped about that, I'm not gonna lie. ARAI, this is good. Breakout, big boy breakout. Have a look here. Here comes the dollar. This is just got to Greensville on the day, guys. This was, the closing print on Friday was about 81 pennies. So we just got to green. We were negative the majority of the day. It's only up 14 and 4/5. But look at this one, get on its horse. Into 93, this one could see the dollar very, very soon with the area high being, you know, that Thursday area high, I want to say, into that $1.40. Good look here. Shout out to Taylor. Not a bad look at all. We'll see what this one does with the dollar. I'm certainly all eyes on that. But RMSG is back, and it is doing damage here to the shorts, right back into that 160, I want to say, where's the high there? 166. So this one kind of breaking trend, eh? This one could be on the way to 2. So it's broken trend now. It's broken that double top into 163 that I got pushed out of. And here comes 168. That is the official high of the day. If it can take out that high, we're talking about 75, and then above 75, of course, we're talking about that $2 area. So RMSG needs to be in focus for you here if you're small cap gapper inclined, in the same way that MNTS is in focus for me. We're still holding here 78s, and it's showing me 94. So great strength on MNTS, as well as, what was that other one, ARAI? We have to change someone here. AMA. We're going to put ARAI over here, and this is almost at $1 now. So trade this carefully, knowing full well that it hasn't put in a red candle since 12:35, so it may be due, just like we're due.
Yeah, for the
news.
Yeah, let's do that.
Are we not?
Fire it up.
You ready to go? Okay. All right, Assassino.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at Apple today. So Apple is developing 4 different AI-powered smart glasses designs, which is a serious push, I would say, to Meta's AI wearable glasses. Now, designs are ranging from Wayfarer-style rectangular frames to smaller oval circular frames. There's a bit of design here. I like that. The product is internally named N50, and there's a target launch window of late 2026 to early 2027. Now, Apple is aiming to deeply integrate the glasses with the iPhone ecosystem, which is very cool. Apple is focusing on premium build quality using acetate materials and not just standard plastic. The camera system is also and may feature vertically oriented oval lenses with surrounding lights. So now the focus I can see is on polish, ecosystem, and user experience. But any updates additionally on Siri improvements and AI integration could definitely bring more material catalysts tied just to this product. And currently Apple is down by 1%.
That visual into AI, that visual like kind of skew to AI that we've been talking about for a long time. Before they release this, and I guess it's going to be a late 26, early 27 release, I hope that we get the new AirPods Pro that are reportedly, if you believe the speculation, going to have cameras on them. The reason I want to see what those have to offer is I want to see how well Apple kind of blends that visual intelligence with its ecosystem, because we know that that's what they're looking to do here. It's not like that they want to, build an entire category on glasses. I think those glasses will complement, at least initially in the first or second iteration, the iPhone, right? Because that's where they make the majority of their money, and that's where they rely so heavily on revenue. So to me, I want to see how well Apple's visual intelligence executes in real life on the AirPods Pro if they have those cameras, and then maybe we can get a better understanding of what to expect from Apple for these headsets. But, is this in just more of the same, from Apple, where they let everybody go in first, innovate, make mistakes, see what people have done right, what they've done wrong, come in there, dunk on everybody, charge twice the price, and people seem to buy it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's been their narrative, man. They just let everybody else be the first to the market, then they perfect everything, and then essentially what they release is significantly better than what everybody else has. And then they also integrate you into the Apple ecosystem. I think with this specifically, I think out of the gate, the Vision Pros were a complete dud. I mean, no one's really using them. They're like swimming goggles or whatever. Yeah, a pure science experiment. Obviously cost them some money. But one thing that they do have, Sharif, you and I were talking about this, with using Meta in their glasses, you need to have that neural band on it. They already have the technology where you don't necessarily need that.
Know that.
And I think that's going to give them a massive step in the right direction and probably surpass right out of the gate what Meta has to offer. Just why? Because it's part of the Apple ecosystem, and people want all these new cool gadgets that have the logo on it.
Like that. What we don't know is whether this is going to be augmented reality glasses, or recording. Maybe they have some
I bet you they have the
audio
basic,
inputs.
like you could see your text message on them.
Yeah, then it would be augmented, because then it would be projecting on the screen.
Via like Siri, because you can already do that with Meta, can't you? With like WhatsApp.
Yeah, one of the glasses.
So the big ones. So I mean, I think for a product release, they're in the right direction, man. They have that MacBook as well, too, that they let go not too long ago, $700 for that thing.
Oh, by the way, MacBook Pro, new version coming out. Guess what, Joey?
What?
Touch screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
About time, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like welcome to 10 years ago.
About time.
I think they didn't want to destroy their iPad categories. My guess why they took so long to make it a touchscreen. Because don't tell me they don't have the technology.
I mean, it's like, hey, you have an iPad. You could just slap a keyboard on your iPad as well, too.
Yeah, and which is what I've done.
Right?
You know exactly what I've done. I've got the big one. Guys, there goes MNTS into $5. We wet the beak at 99. We're looking for continuation above 5. There goes RMSG into the high of the day, 178. This one had a monster seller. I want to say it around, where was that? 66 or whatever. He's dead. They killed him. It's a 178 high. Watch this one. It could be on the way to 2. 78 penny high. There's a new high of day into 79. RMSG needs to be in focus, up 275%. What do we got next, Sia?
Yeah, next we're talking about Tesla. There is an EU FSD breakthrough here. So Dutch regulators have approved Tesla's full self-driving supervised system, which is for use on highways and city streets for the first time in the European market. Now, the system still requires active human supervision, but it can handle steering, braking, and acceleration. So the approval has come 18 months after testing by the Dutch Vehicle Authority, that is the RDW. And now Tesla is planning to begin the rollout in Netherlands immediately. And it's ambitious about expanding across the broader market in the EU. Now, RDW will submit for EU-wide approval. And as I can see, the Dutch regulator is to send, as by Reuters, Dutch regulators is to send this approval EU-wide approval immediately. Now, this can potentially unlock a much larger addressable market, and an important distinction to make here is that the EU version of FSD is not identical to the US version. This is due to stricter safety requirements in the EU, and Tesla's expansion into Europe is critical because it is the company looking to validate for global scalability of its AI-driven software, and Tesla has been dealing with slowing EV demand in Europe, as we do know it, partly due to the aging vehicle lineup and brand backlash that is tied to Elon Musk's political positioning. So I would definitely say that this is a breakthrough in the EU market for them.
Interesting that you brought that point there, that it's not the same system that we see in North America. I'm talking about unsupervised FSD, so steering torque and lateral acceleration limits. So European regulations strictly limit how much force, like the torque, right, the car can apply to the steering wheel and how hard the turn can be at specific speeds, lateral acceleration. Also, it's trained on different road signs and whatever. That's fine. But what really gets my attention is the hands-off and the driver monitoring sensitivity, much more strict in Europe. Both systems are what we call supervised FSD, I get that, but European regulators are significantly more stringent regarding the driver monitoring systems. For example, in Europe, the system is tuned to be much more aggressive with nags, right? If the cabin camera detects eyes off the road for even a brief moment, or if it doesn't sense a capacitive touch on the wheel, it will disengage faster than the North American version. So regulation still rearing its head out in Europe when it comes to Tesla. When it comes to the needle moving aspect of this, I don't think this can hurt them. You can't say the release of full FSD in Europe is going to be detrimental to their sales. I just don't think that that's a plausible argument. So I can only see positivity coming from FSD being rolled out in Europe. What do you think?
I think it would be more attractive to buy the vehicle. Would it not? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, okay, it has to be supervised FSD, but it's a step in the right direction for the company. This is what you want to see from Tesla, sitting at $1 trillion valuation. If you want to see that essentially 8x, he's going to have to get FSD and autonomy AV vehicles in every possible corner of the globe that he can, regardless if sales are dwindling or not, right? Like that's just my opinion. He needs to step into Europe. He needs to get the ball rolling a little bit more in North America as well, too, in order for him to hit that target. But it's definitely a step in the right direction because of what comes after FSD. Autonomy, right? So exactly. So again, it takes a long time. Yeah.
You know about Europe, obviously. We always talk about the smaller roads, smaller cars on Europe. You think FSD does okay over there with those smaller roads? Tighter, narrower passages. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. I mean, who knows, man? Like, if you go to the bigger cities like London, I think it's the larger cities where people are just like sick of sitting in traffic for so long and rather just let the robotics essentially take over. Then I think it'll be all right. Is it going to be as strong as North America? Probably not. But
at least initially, right?
Yeah, exactly. Probably not. But I mean, his objective, I think, is to really tackle the North American market and get as much as he can out of it. That's where he's going to really climb. And what happens over across the pond is essentially bonus money, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Adira, give us your take.
To be brief, I just wanted to provide an update with this story. So right here at the open, as you can see, a little bit of a spike to the upside in TSLA. That's because you actually had that RDW, the Dutch regulator, come out and say, not only do we like Tesla, we think if we believe that Tesla's FSD is good for us, why should it not be good for the whole of the EU? So they actually vouched for Tesla's FSD, not just for themselves, but they said, we're going to go and we're going to talk to the European Commission. We're going to start the process to get FSD regulated across all of Europe. So I think that's a really nice step here for the Dutch regulator. And I like that they didn't just say, hey, we're just going to do this for us. We're going to try to do this for everybody. So I wanted to provide that update. Also, as there tends to be, there's some more headlines here out of the Middle East. CBS now reporting that the U.S. delegation is still engaging with Iran's leaders. We've heard reports to this effect for the last 45 minutes or so. But CBS also reporting there's actually some progression in terms of trying to get to an agreement. I'm still not seeing any kind of stream or update here in terms of when we're going to hear from the president beyond his DoorDash order that we got, 30 minutes ago now. If we get more details, I'll keep you posted.
Very much, Adira. All right, Sia, what are we talking about next?
About USO next. So crude oil prices have surged after the U.S. announced a naval blockade off the Iranian ports. Now, U.S. crude has jumped over 6% to 103 in the range, and Brent has gained 7.2% to 102. Now, what does this reflect? It reflects an immediate supply shock fear. Now, tanker traffic has collapsed from 100+ vessels daily to a fraction of that, which marks a major disruption to global energy flows. And this is how we are all seeing oil production plunge in the Middle East, more specifically Saudi, Iraq, UAE, and Kuwait. Iraq has taken the biggest hit, and it has collapsed 61% from 4.2 barrels per day in February of this year to 1.6 million BPD in March. The output in Kuwait has plunged 53% and 44% in the United Arab Emirates. Some research I was doing today, Saudi's production has dropped 23% from 10.1 million BPD to 7.8 million BPD. All of this followed the failed peace talks between the U.S. and Iran in Pakistan, where the VP of the United States, J.D. Vance, said that after 16 hours of negotiations that ended yesterday morning with Iran, he blames the country for the failed talks and saying that the United States wanted that Iran would not seek a nuclear weapon, and it has reportedly refused. So what is the U.S. doing now? They're targeting all maritime traffic into and out of Iranian ports, with enforcement beginning immediately, and it has as 10 a.m. this morning. I saw a report at 10 a.m. this morning that ships were being prohibited into entering and leaving the Strait of Hormuz. Now, President Donald Trump is also considering further military action, including potential strikes. And the U.S. is also attempting to interdict vessels tied to Iranian toll payments, and Iran has warned it still effectively controls access to the strait, keeping the risk of retaliation very elevated at the moment.
Yeah, and the commodities desk, they're certainly watching for flow normalization. We're about 75% of pre-war traffic. We were doing, as Sia mentioned, about 100 different tankers plus per day were going through the strait not long ago, exactly at 12:33 actually. So a little bit, about 45 minutes ago, President Trump going to Truth Social saying 34 ships went through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, which is by far the highest number since this foolish closure began, then signs his name. So 34, obviously, it is nowhere near 100 plus, but it is better than nothing. I don't know how to feel about this. You know, I feel like maybe we're on the precipice of a deal. Even when J.D. Vance announced yesterday that you didn't have a deal, President Trump right away went to Truth Social, basically said, you know, well, there you have it. You know, we had a deal on many things, except he blamed Iran for saying that they don't want to give up their nuclear ambitions. If you believe that, fine. My spidey sense tells me there's probably a little bit more to it than just the nuclear thing. So we'll see, but I do feel, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like maybe we're coming at least to a temporary tail end of some of this belligerence.
I think the talks just starting essentially with the ceasefire, step in the right direction. And I think as long as it doesn't escalate, which it doesn't seem to be the case right now, I understand with the blockade and everything along those lines, the negotiation terms aren't going to go as smooth and as easily as I think some people are anticipating, but that doesn't matter. As long as they come to some form of a conclusion, I think it'll be cool. Then you have to deal with, obviously, the Israeli and the Hezbollah situation, which I don't know how much of an effect it will have on the North American markets. Obviously, rocketing isn't good whatsoever, but nonetheless, as time passes, you can see the market less sensitivity towards the headlines when it was extremely headline sensitive not too long ago. You're in the talks. Once a deal is made, I don't think it's going to be done within the 2 weeks, but preceding that, you will find some form of a conclusion to this conflict.
I had actually an interesting question to ask you, but yes. Remember when President Obama gave Iranians the deal, the nuclear deal? If they gave up their nuclear ambitions, President Obama gave them a whole bunch of money. Then President Trump criticized President Obama for doing that, basically said you gave them a ton of money that they're going to go and use either for nuclear weapons or missiles. Now there's like this part of the discussions where Iran wants some money. They want reparations a little bit to fix up their country, right?
Rebuilt,
Yeah, so that's going to be money transferred. Unless you can kind of somehow restrict that money, don't we kind of go back into that catch-22 where we're giving the money that can be used for weapons, et cetera? So I feel like, you know,
absolutely.
That.
Well, think about how many missiles and rockets they've used in this conflict. So if they get any form of a dime, they're just going to buy more, build more, essentially, right?
Exactly, and that's kind of my concern about that one. Guys, RMSG, multiple topping tails through the mid one or the low 180s, so be careful there. It's holding trend generally. CMCT also really looking at breaking through the dollar. Keep an eye out on that. MNTS, the one I'm involved in, back into $5 it goes. I'm gonna hold this one until and if it either fails the level or breaks and goes through 5. I've got no reason to take it out, and I'm not gonna, unless I get stopped out. So those are the 3 that I'm watching at the moment. There are others like ARAI, RECT, ALMU. These are all kind of really a good look. So that's kind of what I'm watching. There goes MNTS into another area high, 501. Cool Brioche saying also DEVS is moving, so keep your eye out on that one. Shout out to my man Cool Brioche. And Sia, what do we got next?
We're talking about China's tariff threat, which is adding a bit of macro tension here. So U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened a massive 50% tariff on China if it is caught supplying weapons to Iran. Now, this warning is followed on reports that China may be preparing to send MANPADS, which is shoulder-fired air defense system, to Tehran. Additionally, he has also said that we have a very good relationship with China, and we hope that they want to see this ended too earlier in the news conference today. So China has historically been a key economic ally for Iran, and it has purchased over 80% of its sanctioned oil exports. There's no confirmed evidence yet of direct military support, but even the smallest speculation, you guessed it right, does move markets here. Now, gasoline prices in China has already risen 11%, which highlights an economic pressure just from the conflict. And we're waiting for the Trump-Xi summit in Beijing in mid-May this year, which will also become a macro event for the markets.
This is what we're talking about. This is what MANPADS is, Joey. MANPADS. This is what it is. So who remembers these from Afghanistan? These, what do they call them? Stinger or Stingray missiles or something like that, the American version, where they're just basically put on the shoulder. They're heat-seeking, so they're not radar-based, my understanding is. So they're going after the exhaust and the engine. They're a constant annoyance to low-flying aircraft. That's my understanding as well. So you've got there's different ways to countermeasure them. I think it's flares because it redirects the missile's heat-seeking function to the flare as opposed to the back of the engine. But this is what we're talking about here when we're talking about China possibly supplying them with that. Now, that's obviously not a good development, as that will put probably China and the U.S. at odds. And I feel personally that the Chinese relationship with the U.S. was, at least started off on a positive note. Who followed the story over the weekend where the leader of the opposition of Taiwan actually met with President Xi? She went over there, they shook hands, they did this whole thing, and a lot of people were saying, this could be the start, possibly, to a cooling of tensions between the island of Taiwan and China. Now, that was the leader of the opposition. It wasn't the actual government leader. So there was some criticism by the incumbent government about the leader of opposition doing that. But I liked where this was going. And then you get this headline that, they could possibly supply Iran with arms. Maybe they already are, Joey.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like, you've seen some in the Russian conflict, you're starting to see African troops and some Russian munitions, Chinese munitions and soldiers as well,
in
too.
Africa?
No, in Ukraine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's Africans and.
Oh, that I knew.
Yeah,
They're mercenaries, though,
right?
right?
They're mercenaries. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them are essentially. I don't think China would do that. I don't know if they want to poke at the United States right now, considering their tariff conflict hasn't yet to come to a conclusion. An additional 50% on top of what it is, or 50% in general, not too good of a look whatsoever. And I don't think that's the case, considering they're hurting for oil and they want to get the Strait back open. So them fueling Iran with missiles or whatever it may be, I don't think it's going to help them any good.
All right. Thank you very much for the super chat. My man, Mopar for Life 189, back blast area all clear. You remember, I don't know. There's another one too? Okay, give me one sec. I missed that one. Let me just go back up. Oh, there we go. Sam, yeah, I did hit this one. Thank you. I don't know what that currency is, but it's 500 something. Let's find out what it is right there. This is Indian rupee, 500 Sorry, 500, yeah, 738. Thank you, Sia. She's on point with that. Okay. 500 Indian rupees. Thank you, team, for all the live breaking news. I have been watching you guys for the past 3 months and trading. We couldn't be couldn't be more thankful that you're joining us. Very, very, very appreciative of that, of course, and thank you very much for the 500 rupees. We appreciate you, and stick with us every day, man, because these markets, they get more live every single day. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there, Joey. Let's send it back to Sia for the next story.
Yeah, let's talk about Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs has had an earnings beat, and Goldman Sachs has reported a strong Q1 result that is driven by equities trading and their deal-making strength. Profit has risen to $5.4 billion, which is $17.55 a share, versus the $4.58 billion that was a year ago, $14.12 a share. Now, these results are highlighting a resilience despite the macro volatility and geopolitical tensions. Equity trading revenue has surged 22% to $3.53 billion, which is benefiting from increased market volatility. Fixed income, currencies, and commodities revenue has fallen by 10% to $4.01 billion, showing mixed performance. Asset management revenue has risen 10% to $4.08 billion. This is reflecting a push towards more stable income streams. And investment banking revenue has jumped 48% to $2.84 billion. And Goldman continues shifting towards asset and wealth management for stable revenue, and currently GS down by 2%.
So this was a really good report, save and except for one area, like we talked about in the morning rundown this morning. To me, it's that FIC area, fixed income, currencies, and commodities. That dropped down 10%, bringing in a little bit more than $4 billion in revenue on the quarter. That's obviously mixed performance, but what I'm reading is investors view kind of this FIC as a gauge for raw market activity, and a miss there suggests, despite the volatility in the market, Goldman wasn't able to capitalize as effectively as maybe some of the whispers numbers that we were hearing, right? So I think, maybe a short-term sell here, because I don't think the market's going to be too fixated on that fixed income, currencies, and commodities. I don't know how did they screw up on the commodities? I mean, oil, silver, gold. I mean, these are the best traders in the world. How did they not take advantage of this? But who am I to talk? Asset management, Joey, up 10%. Equity trading, 22%. This looks like a resilient bunch over here. Their advisory revenue up 19%. Investment banking revenue, 48%. So there's one measly category, FIC, and it sends this one down too.
Yeah, I mean, the CEO seems pretty optimistic here. He still believes there's strength within the private credit market as well. They're going to be investing in a lot of cloud infrastructure. That's a smart play considering where we're moving from a tech standpoint. The report's good, and this is essentially what you want to see from the banks. One blemish on it, and sure enough, it's going to take a little bit of a slide, but the numbers are there. I think these are the type of numbers and growth that you want to see from a quarter-over-quarter, year-over-year standpoint, especially in the banks. So record asset under management, you have good retail investment and good trading numbers as well. So, I mean, it's just only a matter of time until these banks, they tend to dip, but then eventually they do climb back towards new all-time highs. Adara.
Keep an eye on this stock called SLM here. This is SLM Corp. I looked into this, and it looks like this is moving higher here after Seeking Alpha reported that they viewed a Q1 letter by Greenlight, which is, I guess, a group that's run by David Einhorn. So it looks like they actually initiated a position in SLM. So again, David Einhorn's Greenlight reportedly initiating a position in this stock, SLM. That's also the name of the company. I looked into the volume on this, about 1.5 million shares traded on the day. So nothing massive, but nothing too small either. Back to you.
All right. Thank you for that, Adara. What do we got next, Sia?
Talking about SanDisk. SanDisk shares have been jumping after news that it will be added to the NASDAQ 100. Now, the inclusion is effective before market open on April 20th and replacing Atlassian. Now, this is a major milestone because index inclusion typically drives passive fund buying and increased liquidity. So entry into the NASDAQ 100 will force the index fund and ETFs to buy SNDK shares, which will create a mechanical demand. Now, SanDisk's rally is heavily tied to AI-driven data center demand, particularly for memory and storage. Now, stock is up 259% year to date after 2,439% over the past 12 months. Citi has raised its price target to $980 from $875 while maintaining its buy rating. Analysts are also citing a strong supply-demand balance in place for storage markets. Now, Atlassian's 65% drop in 2026 alone reflects a pressure on software from AI disruption concerns, and currently SNDK up 7%.
Okay, Sia. So this is a good look. I mean, anybody who's seen SanDisk lately knows exactly what this has been about. Getting added to the index, as Sia mentioned, is pretty good because a lot of these index tracking ETFs will add said addition to their own portfolio, and that creates passive buying. That's why we have this trade on the floor called additions and deletions that are basically based right on that. So I do like it. I'm suspicious of this whole memory thing, and I really haven't punched into any memory names, whether it was Micron, SanDisk, WDC, or anything else on in the Korean markets. You know, maybe it's stupid of me to do that, but I just haven't. I've seen kind of a glut of inventory, then insane demand, then a glut, then insane. They're saying it's going to be different this time around. It looks different this time around because the hyperscalers can't stop buying, so much so that, you know, these companies like Micron, SK Hynix, Samsung, they're all prioritizing data center RAM as opposed to, you know, RAM for smartphones and PC markets, which is having obviously pressure in that industry. So maybe I think I definitely got this one wrong, but in any event, I didn't participate in it. This looks fantastic. It looks like this Atlassian is dropped 65% just this year within like the 4.5 months that we've been trading this year. So it looks like their ass is out. And SNDK, which is up 2,439% in the past 12 months, is in. Yeah. What do you make of this whole thing? You think this is gonna be the real deal? Where I think it's in for a while?
Yeah, I think as long as the CapEx remains elevated, then sure enough, but it will cool down eventually. They're not going to be continuously building at this clip rate. As for SanDisk and positioning, it's so hard to chase it all the way up here, considering it's been on an absolute monster run the past whole year. But yeah, I think that these memory storage names are going to remain elevated. You have the Microns as well, just due to the fact that these guys are spending, and you have to look at those secondary plays within this CapEx spend, and that's going to fall into SanDisk and Micron and other memory storage. And
what's really interesting, I was watching a video over the weekend. They were talking about the importance of packaging.
Yeah.
So it's like you get a bunch of different CPUs. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of string those CPUs together. So it's like you put them together, and then you got to put the RAM around them. And the packaging about how all these things basically act as one processor is becoming so much more important. So much so that your boys there at Taiwan Semi, you know, they have that Arizona fab, and they have a couple of other fabs under construction in that same area. One of those fabs is strictly packaging. And they're having to go to the likes of Intel through these other suppliers just to get the packaging done right. Yeah. And the reason I talk about this is because RAM is integral into that, NAND, DRAM, whatever you want to call it, into the packaging with these CPUs, with these GPUs, and it's getting even more complex. Good video, by the way, put out by, I believe, the Wall Street Journal or CNBC, you have to double check, over the weekend, explaining just that. But Joey, this is all for you here, buddy.
Read it out.
Son of Daniel. Dropping 20 in the chat. Hypothetical question. Let's say someone sent a crate full of nunchucks to Iran in order to make them look like China was helping them. Would the SCDI cheese dispensers then be less expensive than the tariff Chinese ones? Bro, you're killing me, man. I love this cheese grater thing, running gag that you've got going on. You've got a great sense of humor, man, but Joey, I feel like that's probably a little bit more down your alley right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about down my alley. Don't send the nunchucks, or don't send anything from your local Bass Pro Shop, which I know you have had the urge to do so. They're saying he's got the inflatables and everything along those lines. I don't know how that's going to perform on the stock, and I know you already talked about diluting the shares, Danny Boy, so I don't know how much of a pop you're looking to get.
There goes RMSG into another intraday high, 192. Limit up is 192, guys. Here it is, showing the halt parameter now. It's zigging and zagging. This could change momentarily. 192, though, is limit up. That is the high of the day. It's up 300%. It's on the way to 2. Let's see if it gets halted or whether the halt parameter recalculates and then moves up closer or above 2. But RMSG, very, very much in focus. Casey, 526. You make me laugh, man. All right, we're going back to see it.
NEO Hong Kong listed NEO shares have surged 7.6%, and this marks the biggest one-day gain that the company has had since the 1st of April. Now, the move comes despite weakness in the broader Hang Seng Tech Index, which was down 1%. That highlights stock-specific strength. Citi has reiterated a buy rating and raised price targets. U.S. shares target has lifted to $7.60 from $6.20. And this upgrade is driven by stronger sales forecasts and improving order intake trends. NEO's battery swapping business is expected to break even by the year 2027, which is a key milestone for the profitability. AI-driven EV demand and product pipeline is expected to drive volume recovery into 2026. And Hong Kong shares are up 27% year to date, with U.S. listed shares that have gained 27.5%, which shows a consistent global demand, and currently NIO up by 1%.
So we used to crap on them for this, swappable battery technology. But, in an era where you really can't differentiate too much from these EVs, this is a key differentiator for them, right? Whether you think it's kind of like a novelty item or serious business that you can see it adopted en masse, I guess reasonable people can disagree about that. But, my understanding was that they were supposed to make this kind of like a high-end experience where you go in to this NEO charging port, you either stay in the car and get it done quickly, and it automatically drives itself in, from my understanding, or you were supposed to have like these adjoining coffee shops or whatever that you're supposed to get out of the car and, kind of rub shoulders with like-minded millionaires or, rich people like yourself in China and kind of network that way. I never really think that took off, and we didn't really see too many of these sort of hubs open up for NEO. Look, Joey, they're saying their battery swapping business expected to break even by 2027. So by definition, that means they're losing money on it.
They're losing money.
They're losing money on it right now, but they're going to break even. Do you think with so many different Chinese EVs out there, this kind of helps move the needle because it differentiates them?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with this name, I mean, they're looking to release. Is it going to make a major difference? Maybe as the vehicles get older, if you're referring to the battery swapping, right? Because then you have to every once in a while. And we know it's one of the most expensive things. So the issue with NEO is that it's falling into the realm of one of the more luxury car vehicle, EV vehicles, are relatively expensive. They're looking to release a new model as well, the ES9, which is coming in around 77,000 USD, relatively expensive. Also, the CEO stating the fact that they're looking to grow at a 40 to 50% clip rate, which would put their deliveries under just $500,000, 489,000. That's quite a big jump in 2026. So, I mean, as for NEO, in a space that seems to get polluted, is slightly polluted right now, and I think what really the focus is in the near term is like, what are you going to offer from an autonomous standpoint? As for the charging stations, didn't they sign a deal with Tesla where they're going to have the same fixtures, like the same plugs and outlets? Because I thought they did sign
North American standard?
Yeah. I swore that they did that. So they're combining. So it's just like with those vehicles, you just plug in. Obviously, not.
I know there was a bunch that did.
Yeah. So but aside from that, that's a pretty big range to grow. And if they do have the ability to grow at 40 to 50%. That's pretty good. The first quarters grew at 98% year over year, so that's a total of 83,000 in the first quarter, which isn't bad.
And an American rating agency, Citi, giving them a buy rating.
A buy rating. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why the stock could pump.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because you don't see too many of those. We got to pause for a second. We're going to Adara.
Seeing some comments from Feds Goolsbee on Fox News. He's saying that in a situation where oil was at $90 per barrel on a month-after-month basis, prices would start spilling over to other prices. So again, some concerns here about long-term oil price hikes and their overall impact on inflation in other areas coming from Feds Goolsbee. He also said that oil futures pricing suggests markets believe this will be a short-term dispute. So lots of comments coming through from oil on from Feds Goolsbee on Fox News. I'll keep you guys posted.
Honestly.
True, man.
All right, brother. Deep Cheeks AI, thank you for the $2 super chat. Thank you very much for that. But I think from your comment there, you probably don't know too many Persian people. Because if you did, you'd say something a little bit different. But in any event, Sia, what do we got next?
Palo Alto next. So Nir Zook is moving to acquire a major stake in Liberty Bank, and he's a California-based lender. So the plan is to use the bank as a platform for AI-driven financial services. This is a shift into fintech infrastructure, and the deal is pending certain, as we know it, U.S. regulatory approval. Liberty Bank has roughly $440 million in assets, and it serves both individuals and businesses in California. Zook is partnering with investors including Stone Point Capital and Reverence Capital for this. The transaction reflects a broader trend of tech operations entering regulated financial systems, and Zook aims to deploy AI tools into traditional banking workflows, and the strategy is to combine AI and banking licenses and ultimately create a vertically integrated fintech model. Zook has also been expanding beyond cybersecurity into two things: AI-driven fintech platforms and cross-border banking.
I gotta tell you, when I read this article in the morning, some of the other cybersecurity names were not up. Pandub was up, so I figured, this had some more broader context, and I can't, for the life of me, see how this is gonna help them other than to kind of understand the intricacies of cybersecurity when it relates to banking more closely or more thoroughly. But as an income-generating source, I don't know. What I'm worried about with all these cybersecurity names is disruption. Disruption from AI, whether it's going to be from Anthropic, maybe others like Palantir throws their hat into that ring. But what we've seen is that these names are ripe for disruption based upon how the market reacted. I don't know how you feel about this, Joey, but I get the overlap. Yeah, you want to get into some fintech, okay, diversify revenue. Yeah, you'd like to understand a little bit maybe about how better nuance to protect certain banking institution clients. But the thing is, not all their clients are going to be banks. I mean, they got clients everywhere. So how much could they really, how much cross-application could there be? Yeah.
And I think what they're going to pay for it, I think, is going to be a major factor as well, too. Heading into the private sector to acquire that, $440 million. So Liberty Bank has $440 million in assets. That's nothing substantial, to be honest with you. A smaller bank. But at the end of the day, I don't know how good of a pivot this is going to necessarily be. And I think it's a little bit more of a bigger one going from cybersecurity to AI, to the AI trade within the financial sector. I don't know how. I don't really
outperforming the hell out of PanW
on the year,
and right now. So PanW is the one with the headline. CrowdStrike actually got crapped on by Wedbush, where we're going to get to next.
The acquirer doesn't. It usually sells off when you hear that they're purchasing something, right? Like, so it's not going to be as relatively strong. I don't know how I feel about that play. I think it's a big pivot from what their essentially their foundry business
I had no idea why the hell they're doing this, but there's probably more to it. But there goes RMSG into another area high, dominating that $2 area like it doesn't even matter, just blowing through it. It was like, okay, well, we're at $2. The hell out of my way. Now up 350% into $2.14. I don't see support unless it bounces off 2 or this kind of triple, quadruple top into 182, 185. I would say buy area from 190 to 180 if it comes back down there. But RMSG, absolutely him at the moment. MNTS, the one I'm involved in here at the $0.75, just getting above 508 high. It's above 5 right now. Nothing to write home about. I'm going to hold this one until probably we're done the show. So MNTS, RMSG, CMCT, they're all making a move. They all look fantastic, but trade them carefully. And what are we talking about next year?
Talking about CRWD, CrowdStrike is being highlighted by Wedbush as a top cybersecurity pick amid the recent tech sell-off, and the firm argues that markets are overreacting to macro fears, which is creating buy-the-dip opportunities in AI-linked software names. And CRWD is grouped with leaders like Palo Alto Networks and Zscaler as core long-term winners. Markets are also dealing with heightened volatility, which is driven by Middle East tensions and oil above $100. Wedbush is viewing this as a temporary distraction rather than a structural shift, and analysts are emphasizing that AI adoption is accelerating across enterprises, and major deployment is expected into 2026.
Ones where it's like the reason for that's given by Wedbush for this one to go up is the same reason we're seeing it go down. So they're saying, look, AI adoption is accelerating at the enterprise level, and as such, it will need the requisite cybersecurity to go along with it. So AI is the reason Wedbush is bullish on CrowdStrike and the entire industry. And then from the same token, we see, or on the other side of the token, I should say, we see Anthropic and others coming out with these models that may be able to run in-house autonomously or semi-autonomously, which may do away with the need to have a software as a service cybersecurity kind of company like the Pandubs, like Zscaler, like Net, like some others, right? Fortinet and CrowdStrike, obviously. So I don't know, how do you feel? Like the reason they're giving for the bullishness is the exact same reason as well, or part of the reason we saw these sell off.
Yeah, with SaaSmageddon, I just don't think there's an end to this. I don't think, yeah, exactly. You're not going to hop onto Claude or build something in-house that's going to be as equally as good as what we're seeing in PanW and CrowdStrike. Sure. Zscaler has been getting destroyed as of late, still a favorite apparently. But aside from that, I don't think this is the first thing you brush aside considering the AI build-out. Everybody using these tools more and more often and getting more integrated into your systems, into whatever corporation you may be working at. I think it's a focal point, and I thought that we would see a little bit more of a climb here in some of these cybersecurity names. That hasn't been the case. Software, and I mentioned, I don't think you're just going to be able to hop onto Claude, build the models that have the same efficiency and the same capabilities that the CrowdStrikes and the PanW have.
I agree, and some people are, I'm waiting for some people to respond there in the chat because they had some good opinions there, but JL82 basically says not happening overnight. He's like, people thinking you can build this with scotch tape and a hammer wheel sounds a lot like DeepSeek. Point taken there. Pizza Gang was basically replying to me. She says, look, Dan Ives at Wedbush, uber bull on cyber. Agree on Crowd, disagree on Zscaler, he said to me. So I asked, explain your position on Zscaler. He's like, understanding is potential integration risks with recent ZS acquisitions. My understanding, though, with all these bad boys is they've all been acquiring. Pandub's been acquiring. Crowd was acquiring. I'm not sure about Zscaler, to be quite honest with you, but I know the latter two were, much to the chagrin of investors who don't see the immediate runway to monetization through these acquisitions. I know that Pandub has been doing that specifically to kind of push out their platformization platform, for lack of a better word, which is basically encompassing all aspects of the cybersecurity needs all in one by acquiring different companies that do different things within the cybersecurity umbrella. My understanding is CrowdStrike was doing the same thing as well. Maybe not as an aggressive of a scale, but doing basically the same thing, trying to have that platformization all-encompassing push. So I don't know. What is your take on this whole thing? About acquisitions across the cyberspace.
Well, it's good. I think that part is good, right? If you want to acquire some of the smaller names and integrate their technology and their software into your platform, I think that's a step in that's good, right? Like, that's going to benefit your business. It can give you more of a total addressable market. Yep. But I stand on the exact same place. I don't think this is going anywhere, and I thought we'd see a little bit more of an acceleration within this space, considering of what we're doing right now.
Good. All right, see ya. We're talking about that company that showed up at President Trump's house there.
Not DoorDash.
Boy.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about McDonald's. So McDonald's is planning to launch energy drinks in the United States, which includes a Red Bull Dragonberry flavor. Very interesting. The rollout is expected later this year with additional beverages like Dirty Dr. Pepper and Refresher drinks. Now, this marks a strategic push into higher margin beverage categories to drive incremental traffic. And new drinks are expected to launch as early as August of this year. And McDonald's plans to price below competitors like Starbucks. So this is going to create a certain pressure on Starbucks and other brands that price at a little bit higher than usual. And the focus is on affordability and accessibility, which continues the company's value-driven positioning. And the move comes as low-income consumers are pulling back on spending, which McDonald's has already begun responding with. $3 and under menu items and $4 breakfast bundles to drive volume. Currently, McDonald's down by almost 1%.
Look, I can't say that I dislike this whole thing. Obviously, more product offerings is good for them, especially if it's a higher margin product like these fountain drinks. Looks like they may be able to make some money off them. But I don't know if you had an opportunity to see this. Did you see McDonald's CEO getting crapped on social media?
No, what happened?
So he was eating a Big Mac, and the Big Mac was like, I don't know, it was really small.
Oh, really?
And he yelled, you saw that, right, Fabian? Burger wars all over. Anyway, so then he was like taking like this bite, and he's trying to make it seem like a big thing, and it's like,
what's up with
that thing is tiny, man.
He knows. They're like, yeah, I shouldn't be eating this.
Well, I don't think he knew it right away. His kids started sending him. They're like, yo, you're going viral online, and it's not a good viral.
The bites he were taking.
And Fabian says that he cut her all around the bites, and then he's like, oh, I'm going to eat it during lunch. So I think, anyway.
What?
The point is that it hasn't looked good for McDonald's lately, but he came out, I think he did a bit of a video to kind of explain his position there, but you have to see what people were doing. They were tagging him in the videos of them getting like Big Macs that look like Big Minis. You know what I mean? Like it was hideous, right? Like, I don't know. They don't look good, like, in real life. They look different on the commercials.
Yeah, I mean, it never really looks like that.
But I don't mind this move at all. I don't think it's needle moving for McDonald's, but they say it's a higher margin product. Fountain drinks, they make some money on it. What's your
I mean, you have the $1 drink, I'm pretty sure, in the summer. You guys know where I stand when it comes to McDonald's. I'm not a fan of it. There's a reason why it's illegal in some countries. Aside from that, listen, high margin, that's what you want to see within the business. And we all know sugar is highly addictive, so why not pump out a little bit more of that? People involved in some of these drinks. I mean, Sia brought us some of the names. There's like the Dirty Dr. Pepper, some more berry drinks. Even mean? I don't know. You would think there'd be alcohol in it or something along those.
That does not sound good at all.
Yeah, that sounds like an alcoholic drink.
The spicy,
like dirty martini.
Like the spicy Sprite, like that sounds like you're getting that mixed with
when did that
maybe.
come out?
Maybe that's going to be the kind of a, as the Americans would call it, a Bloody Mary with some Sprite in it. What do we call them here again? Caesars. Caesars, right? I don't know. I don't, like, again, their burger releases, I think that the business that can continuously run on just a couple of burgers, a couple of variations of it for this long, and their fries, they're famous for them. It's just going to add to the bottom line, but it's for the lower end consumer. You're going to get those drink deals. Slightly margin compressing, but when they're not on, you're spending like $4 or $5 on a drink, and they're coming out of the fountain. That's where they're really going to bank.
That's making big money. Go ahead, Sia.
Also, Adara just said that apparently it's not alcoholic, but they're going to add cream in it.
Cream.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even better now. I add the cream to it. Great idea.
Is that protein cream? Adara, you're going to comment here, so let's hear your take.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're done. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I can use my mic. That's cool too. So I think the thing with McDonald's is, like, as you said, Sharif, I don't think this is a needle mover. I can't say that word today at all. Like, I think, and it's interesting too, because I checked the stock this morning when I saw this news, because I saw a lot of people talking about this news. Wasn't doing anything. There is, if I can pull up the 4-hour on here, which I think I might be able to. So let's do like what? That's the 3-hour. I gotta add another. But yeah, anyway, so we'll go out here. We'll go to like 240 minutes. There we go. So this chart, I think we kind of needed to see a breakout of that 305, 310 range. We actually broke below that range. So rough look here for MCD. If you zoom out a little bit more, in terms of the actual, meat and potatoes, or meat and cheese and bun and other cheese of, the Big Mac of the story. I don't know. I don't think it's that exciting, and I get the dirty soda thing kind of weird for me. I get they're trying to be exciting, but honestly, in my opinion, a bigger catalyst is President Trump showing up and getting some McDonald's. That's probably more interesting, and it ironically moved the stock more, at least in the short term, than this situation here with the sodas. We'll have to see how these are received by the consumers, but yeah, right now I don't think anyone's loving it when it comes to.
Do you remember?
Didn't Warren Buffett always go?
Yes. And I was just about to say, remember your buddy RFK over there?
What was he doing?
And your other buddy Elon?
What's Elon?
And then your even closer buddy, President Trump. Where is he at?
Yeah.
Get him, Donald. Remember them on the airplane?
They eat McDonald's?
Yeah. Remember, hold on, Trump,
out of everything
RFK,
you can get in your airplane, you're getting McDonald's.
Elon, McDonald's, there it is. This is the image. Hold on, let's pull it up. There it is, man. And even Don Jr. is there, the little guy. What a guy, bro. Open image in new tab. There we go. Yes, this was like one of the best like McDonald's advertisements ever. You even have the Speaker of the House there. Get him, Mike. Yeah, Elon and Donald were talking back then. Now it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, but you see, Elon's built like.
But this was the best part to me. Why is RFK eating McDonald's?
Yeah, isn't this?
And why is
That's what I
that
was gonna say.
Coca-Cola a classic Coke, not a Coke Zero?
No, it makes, like, RFK Jr., I was literally saying this to Sia off camera right before you said it. Him being there makes no sense. Also, I love that Mike Johnson is like a little, like, elf, angel, devil on his shoulder. Like, Mike Johnson looks so uncomfortable, like, physically, I mean, not emotionally, because he's smiling. But why is he hiding? I love this picture. I could write an essay.
The fact that these guys are crushing 2 burgers each, too, is crazy.
Exactly.
The smile I have seen from Donald Trump. I have never seen him smiling like that for the press. That is amazing.
It's so good. What's that, Katina, man? Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about what we're talking about over here. All right, Sia, what do we got next? Take your time.
We're talking about CEG. We're talking about Constellation. Constellation Brands shares are moving higher after a TD Cowen upgrade from buy to buy from neutral, and the stock is showing relative strength versus a weak broader tape. Now, TD Cowen assigned a $190 price target, and the call is based on multiple expansion potential as confidence in the growth is returning. Analysts are expecting a 1.5% sales growth in beer in year 2027, which is outperforming a flat broader beer category, 0% growth. Now, key tailwinds for this include easier year-over-year comparisons, World Cup demand boost, and that was about it. Sending it back to you. My bad.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that these guys reported not long ago, and it was not a good report for the majority of their categories, whether you're looking at spirits, hard liquor, wine. I think there was one category where I think they did better, and that was beer. I think it was Corona and Modelo. And that's kind of...
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
Yeah.
So I remember they reported like last week or the week before, whatever. Is the analysts expecting 1.5% beer sales growth in full year 2027? Okay, that's outperforming a flatter beer category of 0% growth. Now we do have some tailwinds, as Sia was talking about the World Cup. We're going to have a lot of games. Those are going to be in big stadiums too. A lot of American stadiums, 80,000.
Yep.
75,000 plus, so you got to assume there's going to be a lot of drinking, right? And a lot of the drinking in the hot. You're probably going to have some beers. You're not going to be wanting to, you're not going to be drinking shots. Like, well,
it depends.
Hold on now. Hold on now. Run that back. No, but seriously, we've talked about Gen Z as well.
Yeah.
Not drinking nearly as much.
And
millennials as well, coming down with the alcohol as well.
Yeah.
Yourself included. You've been dry the entire year, right?
I've been, man.
I've been trying, Ed. Go ahead, Sia.
I'm so sorry, but I think you're a bit wrong about Gen Z.
Well, I'm pretty right with the data. I'm not talking about you.
No.
You.
Okay,
If that's what you're getting at.
We're not talking about me, but
No, but go ahead.
Freshmen on college. You should see that.
Yeah, I do believe you. I definitely believe you.
But I think like with school, it's obviously different, right? Like when you're in college, you're in university, you're looking to have a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
You gain the freshman 15 and everything along those lines, as they typically say. But alcohol sales are down. They're like, I'm not going to incriminate myself or anything like that, but from a younger age, I think it's starting a little bit later than what it is now, or compared to what I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then I just don't think it's as popular because you also have other recreational substances available as well in the city. You know you see what I'm getting at here?
Oh, yeah,
so it's just like, hey, why am I going to wake up all hungover even though you get to have all this fun? But other individuals are partaking in other things for sure.
Yeah, and there's a whole health kick as well. There's a move towards just being healthy in general in society.
Exactly. And during COVID too, like some of the kids, like the younger kids that would come and play pickup with us, they're like, yeah, we don't even really drink, man. They don't do anything.
Kids are total squares now. But anyway, Deep Cheeks AI. I love this guy, bro. Drop it 2 in the chat. have them all fighting for the toilet after on Air Force One. I hope they have more than one bathroom on Air Force One.
Yo, can I say
Pretty sure they
something, though?
do, but that's
You know what I've noticed, and it's absolutely disgusting? In Liberty Village, the amount of human puke on the street is absurd. Yeah. It's so gross.
At the Rio Republica, you couldn't walk like 10, 15 meters without seeing somebody passed out
or puking,
on the side. Like,
it's just absolutely disgusting.
My days. Yeah, I hadn't seen party stuff like that in a minute, man. But all right, we have I think 3 minutes left. I think we'll end the news here. Let's just go through some trade reviews. Thank you, Sia, for that. Thank you, Adair, for your participation. RMSG, guys, continuing to go here above $2. Bottoming tail candle, kind of broke trend with this candle breaking through. I saw some people in the chat saying there was a big seller at around 210. It kind of feels that way with both these candles. 208, pardon me, not 210. This candle rejected 208. This current candle has a 208 high, so it looks like somebody's selling up a storm at 208. I know the position board doesn't show it, but I'm still holding MNTS, which will end now. It's a 508 high, drops below 5, back into 496 on this one. Let's see if we can get above prior bar high. It's got a higher low at the moment, but MNTS has been a bit of a slow mover. So for the person who pointed out that it's been a low volume trade, you're not inaccurate on that. 7.6 million shares traded on the day on a $5 name at around 2 o'clock. It is a little bit lighter volume, but it was good to me, so we're not going to hate on it too much. Also, CMCT. For those who may be looking out for a dip trade, here comes one, 90 pennies, and that's the whole, it's not the whole dollar, it's a 10 penny level, but it also has some support here with the volume weighted average price, something to be looking out for there. That's CMCT. And then RECT. RECT, lost VWAP. I don't know if you're in the chat still, Luis. I know it's getting late over there, brother, and thank you for hanging out with us because I saw you not that long ago. This one lost all sorts of trend into 185, trying to make a move back into 2.25. Why do I say making a move back? Because that's where VWAP is, and that's where this one could be a short. I wouldn't say, live and die by that 225 number. Sometimes they retrace above VWAP only to lose it, 1 or 2 candles later. The point is, though, if you're small cap gapper inclined and you're looking short, RECT, R-E-C-T, could be one to keep your eye on. And then last here, before we send it back to Joey, ARAI, another slower mover. It had a big pop at around 1 o'clock, lost the trend a bit, but here it is with a bunch of higher lows and higher highs, trying to take out area high at around 94, 95. This one has a 99.9 high a day. So basically at that $1 area, ARAI was the ticker I was talking about there, Joey.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a fantastic session. Sharif was going over some of the small cap names. You have NVDA hovering around the volume weighted average price. The market's still holding up around its highs. Bitcoin not too far off either, guys. We are down only about 0.9% on the session. A little bit more as it's starting to pull back in. Nonetheless, still plenty of time, some potential closing trades as well, and I hope everyone's put on a pretty good session. Volatility spikes start